Chapter 846, The Giant Pale Hand. Chapter 846, The Giant Pale Hand. The battle took place earlier than he had estimated. As soon as his soul consciousness was released, he immediately felt a formidable energy, fluctuation rocketing through the air from Leona's area. An energy wave shook the mountain and cracked the ground. It was powerful as 10 volcanoes erupting at the same time, bursting out grumblingly in the Heaven Punishment City. They could feel a terrible quake almost instantly. A pale flame arose in the absolute darkness. It expanded over the entire city. Under that energy wave, all rules and principles of the mortal world seemed to be subdued. The aura of this force could snatch away any creature's life. It shrouded the entire city, making every single warrior in the city fearful. They almost kneeled down. All warriors in the city, regardless of their realms, realized that they were facing a character in the Heaven Punishment City who could even discolor the earth and sky. That erosive aura wanted to destroy everything else. Ka-Tua and Kafu paled. They knew the battle has begun. They were instinctively anxious. Senior, is that our precursor's power Upanishad? Ka-Tuo's voice slightly trembled. It's frightening. That corroding power is very powerful. It seems like it could melt all kind of energy. My God, I have never thought the Heaven Punishment City has those with such incredible abilities. Ka-Fu was so scared that he couldn't talk. He finally understood why Shi Yen was so generous to her, asking him to give her 10,000 top-quality divine crystals. When this thought popped up in his mind, he saw something dazzling floating up into the sky at Leona's shabby manor. He gawked, seeing what was happening. They were the divine crystals he offered her himself. The crystal-clear divine crystals glowed gloriously like bright stars. They lined up, arranging neatly in the sky of the Heaven Punishment City and spinning continually. The energy inside the divine crystals was all taken. The ear-piercing whistle and hissing resounded from the crystals as their energy was stirred up, falling like rainfall. The divine crystal stored thick earth and heaven energy. The quantity of energy in a crystal could be compared to the amount of essence chi in the body of a third or a second sky of king god realm warrior. However, it was hard to release the energy inside the divine crystal at once, let alone use it to attack in a battle. Even the strong experts couldn't use the energy all at once. They had to absorb the energy little by little and blend it into their body. Nobody knew that the divine crystal could be used this way. The divine crystals were triggered, then arrayed into a natural, magical formation, creating an unpredictable movement of energy. More than 10,000 divine crystals bigger than raindrops fell and turned in the sky like blazing white meteors. The dark energy didn't affect them. From time to time, the crystals collided with each other, sending radiant sparks into the air. A divine crystal could provide the energy of a king god realm warrior. When more than 10,000 pieces fell altogether, it was equal to more than 10,000 king god realm warriors attacking at once with all of their best powers. Shortly after, the explosions reverberated in the Heaven Punishment City densely. Most of them came from Leona's manor. It seemed like all the experts had been affected, and they were trying their best to resist. Giant hands appeared in the void of the Heaven Punishment City, which looked more like the hand seal of the death. It slowly pressed down, snatching over the silhouettes there. Each hand was eccentrically pale and wielded corroding power. White mist hovered, sending shivers down people's spines and rising the hair on their nape. When the hands pressed down, the divine crystals exploded, contributing the energy into that giant pallid hand and strengthening the corroding power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Just like a terrible earthquake, horrifying explosions echoed in an area of the Heaven Punishment City. The shock waves expanded, turning houses into debris. Not long after that, they could hear the miserable screams and whines in the loud explosions. It seemed like many people were subdued under those pale hands. They couldn't even move. The noisy commotions of the Heaven Punishment City oddly quieted down all of a sudden. No sound was made in the darkness. No one knew why the energy commotions in Leona's area halted. It seemed like the original God Realm warriors who came to this area had been pushed to the ground by the Pale Hands. Their powers were restrained, so they couldn't use their powers Upanishad to counterattack. They could only try their best to resist the erosive power. Basically, they couldn't affect Leona. After a while, screams and yells arose from another section of the Heaven Punishment City. Dozens of thousands of warriors with different realms in the city had been alerted to the earth-shattering battle. Instinctively, they dashed in the dark and approached the area. They screamed and yelled to show the others their locations. Contemplating for a while, Shiryen said all of a sudden, "We should go there and check." Tua nodded, agreed with him immediately. "Yes, we should go and see what's happening." It was hard to observe the encounters between the original God Realm warriors. As this battle gathered so many original God Realm experts, it was a rare chance to watch a formidable battle scene. If they missed it, they would regret it for the rest of their life. If they could watch the battle between the original God Realm warriors to learn their techniques and the way they use their powers, it would benefit the Low Realm warriors in comprehending their realm later. Perhaps they could have a chance to break the restraint and enter the new realm. This is the reason why, even though they knew it was very dangerous, they wanted to still go and see. They wanted to see the tremendous details of this battle. They wanted to see how the strong experts control their powers, and to which level the unimaginable intimidation of those experts had reached. Shiryen, Tua, Fu, and many other warriors congregated at that area through the darkness. That area had the brilliant divine crystals marked the location in the sky. This battlefield was obvious. They didn't need to worry about not finding it. As they couldn't see each other, they could only release the soul consciousness to sense. Instantly, the soul consciousness created a mess in the Heaven Punishment City. Different power classes, soul consciousness collided and scattered. Sometimes they created a tremendous soul collision, leading to a soul attack. The Heaven Punishment City had just been quiet for a moment, but now it fell into an even louder bustle. Warriors living in the city often had a lot of enemies. Once they sensed the soul consciousness of the opponent, they would immediately attack in the dark. Today, the Heaven Punishment City's warriors were fighting each other. The rule of fighting prohibited in the city was temporarily broken. Many people had seized the chance and killed the ones they didn't like. More and more battles took place in the city. Screams, yells, grunts, hisses, whine, and bloodthirsty roared sounded at the same time. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of terrifying quakes sent out from the center of the battle. The earth-shattering shock waves created the exaggerated scene of the day the earth explodes. Rocks, big trees, and other miscellaneous debris were sent into the air with frightening energy. Many warriors who just came got hit before they could steady their body. Their god body exploded instantly. When their realms and energy weren't enough, taking risks and jumping into the center of the battle resulted in soul-shattering consequences. On the way to the battle, Shiryen found many corpses along his way, and he could even see the soul altar fleeing away from the Heaven Punishment City. His eyes brightened. The blood vein ring's reminder echoed in his mind. The thought of devouring the soul altar appeared uncontrollably in his head, and he couldn't ease it off. Hesitating for a while, Shiryen quietly detached from Tua and Fu. He concealed his aura and hid in a corner. He triggered his soul altar, making the black hole section emerge. In this absolute darkness, the black hole wasn't really distinctive. Nobody could find it. A soul altar flew out from its smashed god body. It flashed, then disappeared into the darkness, flying out of the Heaven Punishment City. However, at this moment, Shiryan's soul consciousness had locked it. His mind flickered, and the black hole in his soul altar immediately released a powerful suction force. The flying soul altar was stopped and bound by an invisible rope. It was pulled toward Yan's black hole. Souls couldn't scream or yell. They could only send the soul thought. However, under the suction force created by the black hole in Yan's soul altar, that person couldn't even generate a thought. While no one was watching, that soul altar was devoured. A cool, refreshed feeling flooded his sea of consciousness and the soul altar. The blood mark on his god soul glowed brilliantly as if it had just received a marvelous supplement. At the same time, the essence chi from many god bodies of the dead warriors flew out. However, it didn't disperse. It streamed into Yan's acupuncture points, making the vortexes inside spinning crazily. In this darkness, the Heaven Punishment City didn't have only the battle at Leona's Manor. Warriors were fighting against each other in small alleys of the city. Whenever they sensed their enemy's soul consciousness, they would attack immediately. People continued to die. Warriors staying in the Heaven Punishment City had at least the True God Realm cultivation base, while the King God Realm warriors made up a large portion of the city's population. When Yan spotted a dead warrior, he was like the ferocious beast inhaling the fresh scent of blood. He would sneakily use the black hole in his soul altar to wolf down the other soul altar. At the same time, his acupuncture points would take in the essence chi of the dead. When he targeted a killed warrior, he would absorb the energy of the dead body and soul before they scattered. The Heaven Punishment City was now unbearably chaotic. Warriors died unceasingly. At this moment, Yan was the one receiving the greatest benefit. He wandered around the city like a savage beast devouring the essence chi and soul energy of the dead experts. He didn't spend any bit of his energy or join any battle, but he became the person to continue to gain. He kept walking and absorbing energy. Gradually, his acupuncture points enlarged. The negative energy was torrentially surging in his acupuncture points. The vortexes were revolving to filter and refine the energy. Each of his acupuncture points was shaking, sending unstable ripples. Some strange but marvelous change had quietly happened while he didn't notice. Chapter 847, A Bloody Grand Banquet. Chapter 847, A Bloody Grand Banquet, Anusur. Yan's acupuncture points swelled while the vortexes inside him spun crazily, generating abundant negative moods. He entered the third sky of rampage uncontrollably. The dead Upanishad was released, creating the god domain. The thick blood sea appeared outside his god domain. The blood soul sea, the magic power of the dead Upanishad. Yan wore a cold face, walking slowly in silence. On his way, any warriors standing near his god domain became perplexed. Then they acted as if they were under a deadly spell. They had lost their prior thoughts. Now, only the simple desire of slaughtering was in their minds. Warriors inside the dead Upanishad's blood soul sea had negative moods flooding their sea of consciousness. Their soul altars shook anxiously while their minds were controlled. Shortly after, those warriors started to kill each other, whether they were friend or enemy. They all fell into bedevilment. Only the thought of killing remained in their minds. They wanted to destroy everything, killing every creature. The massacre became fiercer because of Yan. With his divine ability called the Blood Soul Sea, the battle became bloodier. Yan was numb as though he had no emotion at all. He looked like he was enjoying this bloody grand banquet. Sauntering forward, Yan didn't attack anyone or have any strange movement. His god domain was instinctively released. The negative moods were like invisible robes tying down everybody come near him. The crowd of warriors near him became dull and perplexed, seeing that they just acted by their most basic fighting instinct. Naturally, more warriors fell. Under the blood soul sea, they had lost their minds, slaughtering each other until one died. When a soul altar escaped the god body, Yan would release his soul altar with the black hole to engulf it. Shortly after, 5 soul altars disappeared into the black hole in Yan's soul altar. His eyes became as red as blood. Whenever a warrior died, the warrior's essence chi, which hadn't scattered into earth and heaven yet, would be absorbed into Yan's acupuncture points. Gradually, his acupuncture points felt more painful. He was shaking, trying to press down the annoyance in his god body. Yan still moved forward, wandering around the area where there were more battles. He was using a method which made him undetectable. His god domain was getting more soul altars as more people died. The god domain of the dead Upanishad had the soul burial ground on the outside, which could absorb the soul aura of living people. Yan's vigorous god body stayed inside. When the energy rolled into his body, his mind became calm and lucid. He didn't need to worry about falling into bedevilment, and he walked like that around the heaven punishment city. Wherever he passed by, the battles became wilder and fiercer. This situation was too good for his development. While Leona comprehended the dark Upanishad to use the absolute darkness to shroud the entire heaven punishment city, Fei Lan was battling many experts on the other side. They drew away most of the attention. That was why nobody had noticed Yan's stealthy and lethal deeds. Since Fei Lan was too intimidating, no one paid attention to Yan. He could wreak as much havoc as he pleased. The battles continued. Eventually, however, they started to calm down. On Fei Lan's side, the original God Realm experts had to bear the loss. As they now knew it was hard to break that tough defense to attack Leona, they gradually ceased their attacks. At the moment, it seemed like Leona had passed the critical point of her fusion with the heart of darkness and understanding the dark power Upanishad. She was able to control the situation now. The absolute darkness that had shrouded the heaven punishment city was expanding, covering the whole land of God punishment. When her progress came to the last phase, she could control that dark power, shrinking the darkness coverage towards her location. After a while, a light appeared near the edge of the heaven punishment city. The light that was confined shined one last time. Seeing this sign, people understood that Leona's comprehending progress was about to be complete. After a while, an unknown soul energy fluctuation shot out furiously from Leona's location. After a second, all the dark powers seemed to find the drain port, overflowing massively into Leona's area. Then, the space above that location twisted and the manor collapsed into ground. Instantaneously, Leona's aura disappeared into thin air. The absolute darkness that had covered the heaven punishment city for 2 hours vanished. Light appeared again over the heaven punishment city. At Leona's area, people were sitting on the ground. They looked distressed and pale. Many bodies were scattered around. The ones who were still alive were the most intimidating existences of the heaven punishment city, which included Feng, Ku, Russell, Jianong, Jester, and Barrett. Surprisingly, Carthu, Liu Feng, Ao Guduo, and Bai Tian were also in this group. However, their situation was really terrible. Ao Guduo, Carthu, Bai Tian, and Liu Feng had obviously been through fierce battles. They had blood all over their body. Feng, Ku, Russell, Jianong, Barrett, and Jester were the local original god realm of the heaven punishment city, but their situation wasn't so good. They had to catch their breaths, their faces tired. 10 miles away from them stood Ao Gera, Ziyao, and Feng Rao, the juniors with lower realms. They stood on the ruins of the houses, looking at that area with fright. The earth-shaking battle seemed to have settled. However, no one knew what happened in that battle or how fierce it was except for the ones who had joined it. Ziyao, Ao Gera, and Feng Rao were the first ones to arrive in this area. They could feel the energy impacts, but they didn't know who was battling whom. Due to the darkness shrouding, they could only use the soul consciousness to sense. However, the king god realm's soul consciousness would be affected, resulted in the damage to the soul. Thus, no one dared to take risks to go nearer. Those who were at the original god realm gathered outside of Leona's stone room. They all participated in this battle. However, none of them showed the happiness of a victory. They seemed to be damaged, standing or sitting with a grimace. No one knew what they were thinking. Leona's garden wasn't large. It was around 10 mu of land. At this moment, an abyss that they couldn't see the bottom appeared in the garden, giving people a wicked and strange feeling. Around 100 houses were crushed into nothingness. Dust hovered in the air that hadn't settled yet. At first glance, this area seemed to be ground. Everything was destroyed. The original God Realm experts stayed in ruins, looking at each other with hostility, saying nothing. Standing outside the scene, Zi Yao, Feng Rao, Feng Shao, Ao Gera, Yalin, and Taimu gawked in fear. Several thousand warriors of the Heaven Punishment City gathered around the area of the original God Realm experts, but no one dared to approach. They stood there looking anxiously. The eroding energy that had scared the entire Heaven Punishment City had disappeared. In the void, the exhausted fist-sized divine crystals turned white-gray. They were still floating and hadn't fallen down yet. Those crystals had created a vague net with a thick mesh enveloping 10 miles. All the original God Realm experts were standing inside the coverage of that stone net. From 10 miles outside, several thousand onlookers weren't included in the coverage of the big net. The hermit who had created the net seemed to aim at only the original God Realm experts. Warriors who didn't cross the line wouldn't be affected. However, the ones who dared to jump in all died, except for those at the original God Realm. Hundreds of corpses from different forces were the harsh evidence for this theory. Everybody kept silent, whether they were the experts at the original God Realm or the onlookers at the King God Realm. They all had grimaced at the shattered aftermath of the battle. They felt bitter, their eyes worried. No one knew whether that hermit had left or not. Thus, since they couldn't see or sense that hermit's aura, none of them dared to act rashly. Feng Ku Liu Feng and Ao Gu Duo didn't dare to jump into that deep abyss to find Leona, even though they were intimidating experts at the original God Realm. As Zi Yao, Feng Rao, Feng Shao, and the others had only the King God Realm cultivation base, they didn't dare to intrude the 10-mile area to ask for their precursors or family member situation. They just watched from a distance, waiting for something. He must have left already, right? Feng sat on a pile of crushed stone. He talked uncertainly after a while. Russell, Jianong, and Barrett sat near him. They just beamed a forced smile and answered nothing. We were treated differently. He didn't consider us his enemies. He just didn't want us to come near. Feng contemplated for seconds, then said, "We can confirm that he's a member of the Heaven Punishment City. As long as we, the local warriors, stay honest, he won't touch us." Pausing for a while, he continued, "Those who wanted to take advantages of the situation, of course, didn't receive a decent ending." While he was talking, he raked through the bodies, scattering around, frowning. "It's my luck that I survived this time as well," Barrett sighed, shaking his head. "Too powerful. Today, I finally know that we're too weak compared to the real experts." While they were talking, Ao Gu Duo, Carthu, Liu Feng from the Li family, and Bai Tian from the Underworld League on the other side were looking at each other, furrowing their brows. They were trying to restore their aura while pondering. Fei Lan didn't show mercy when attacking them. They were all wounded. Their condition wasn't good. "Look, over there, over there." Suddenly, the noise arose from the onlookers outside. More warriors turned around to look behind their back. Ah! Feng Rao and Zi Yao turned around to look. They were shaken immediately with fear. Chapter 848. I'm sorry, I will choose him. Chapter 848. I'm sorry, I will choose him. _ People stared at the place where the battles were the most fierce. Dozens of King God Realm warriors attacked each other as though they were all crazy, not knowing whether the opponent was from their side or not. They seemed to not feel pain as well. A thick blood-colored mist and sea of blood released brutal and wicked energy fluctuations. It seemed that the red hue could affect people's soul alter at once. Just at first glance, their souls looked like they were sinking deep into it. Only a lucid man was floating in the middle of the blood sea. It was Shi Yan. Wicked energy flooded the blood sea. Shi Yan hovered with a cold face and garnet eyes. He just watched the battles idly, as if he didn't know that he was the one who had initiated this. Inside the blood sea, blood splashed everywhere. Parts of human bodies were scattered on the ground, which belonged to those who had battled to the death. Looking further, they found more withered corpses on the road. They seemed to be bled to death. Someone counted almost 100 corpses on the street. Blood mist hovered and wound around. The eccentric, evil aura slowly arose. Looking at the blood mist and the blood sea, the warriors couldn't help but feel very anxious and uneasy, as if they had to jump in there and fight as well. The onlookers were frightened, seeing the young man with his bizarre and wicked energy fluctuation. A chill went down their spines. So odd and cunning. After all, what kind of power could make people act crazily like that? They didn't recognize their comrades who had been fighting with them for so many years. They were all battling fiercely until someone died. What is going on? That man is the boy who has defeated Blackhorn. He has competed with Barrett for young Lady Feng Rao. Ah, it's him again? But why does he look so evil right now? Look, many people are dying on the street. Did he kill them all? Who knows? But I'm sure this kid isn't ordinary. At the second sky of King God Realm, he was able to create this bizarre situation, which is enough to prove that his power Upanishad is one of the most mysterious and wicked powers. We shouldn't mess with this kid anyway. OSH*T. He's a real slaughtering machine. Right, we should stay away from him. Or else, I'm sure we will be involved in something terrible. Everybody discussed boisterously. They temporarily forgot that the original God Realm experts were sitting behind them to adjust their condition in silence. Now, they kept their eyes on Shi Yan. Little sister. Feng Shao was bewildered for a while. Suddenly, he became stiff and serious. He cried out, "Our people are being attacked and killed." Feng Rao discolored. She cleared her mind, taking in a cold breath before flying out and heading toward Shi Yan. As soon as she was about to reach him, she shouted, "Stop it!" Zi Yao's bright eyes got colder looking at the woman. She couldn't help but snort as she disliked her. This was the first time Zi Yao saw Feng Rao. Studying the woman, she felt more annoyed. Feng Rao's evil charm and her care for Shi Yan made Zi Yao instinctively upset. She couldn't explain why she felt irritated. She just thought that she should be the one who tried to stop him, not Feng Rao. However, she didn't dare expose herself. She was a princess of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation, the enemy of the Heaven Punishment City. She also didn't have the original God Realm cultivation base. If people spotted her, it would be hard to escape. "Stop it! Quickly!" Feng Rao shouted hastily. Hearing her frightened shout, Shi Yan's blood eyes flashed. He took a deep breath as if he had been awakened from a strange realm. After 15 minutes, the god domain he had released was retrieved. The blood mist wound around the sky, disappeared as if it was sucked into a space slit. His garnet eyes gradually resumed their normal color. However, the bloody aura on his body was still terrifying and intimidating. Bloody Slaughterer Ka, Tuo, and Ka, Fu, stood in the crowd, looking at him from a far distance, their visage baffled. They had come with Shi Yan originally. However, they lost him along the way. Staying in the darkness and a chaotic place of disorderly soul consciousness, they couldn't find Shi Yan. As most of the warriors were heading toward Leona's location, they thought that they would meet him there. They didn't expect that after being separated briefly, Shi Yan would change so much. He surprised and frightened the crowd of the warriors in the Heaven Punishment City. I need to go for a while. Shiryen suddenly extended one arm. An unknown flow of murderous aura congregated in his palm. An invisible force snatched Feng Rao's soft body, preventing her from approaching him. I'll be back shortly. If you want to depart the expedition to explore the star map, just go. You don't need to wait for me. Sure. Yin didn't wait for Feng Rao to respond. He faced the sky and screamed. The void echoed a whistle, just like a sharp sword tearing the sky. A dazzling space slit appeared above his head. He immediately flew into the crack, not waiting for the others to react. He disappeared in a blink. Feng Rao hurried to come to him, but a barrier had stopped her. She could only see him leaving, unable to do anything else. That space slit just flashed, then closed. That area was flat, having no streaks of being torn once. As soon as Yin disappeared strangely, the negative energy had gone altogether. Those insane warriors gradually resumed their clear minds. They stopped fighting. Dude, my brother, why are you dead? Brother. Damn, what's happened? What happened? Why did we fight with each other? How come? Who did it? You will be our enemies forever. After the warriors regained control of themselves, they looked around and found that their death-or-life opponent were their friends and brothers who they shared many memories with. They burst out angrily, shouting and cursing. They were so enraged that they wanted to find the person who caused all these things to take revenge and make him pay a big bloody price for what he'd done. Too bad. Shiryen had left a long time ago. They couldn't find him. Young lady, our master does have sharp eyes. I couldn't understand him, but now I got it. I'm totally convinced. Allard put on a strangely solemn visage, speaking. The devil deeds Shiryen had performed today was much more dazzling than his battle against Blackhorn. Many king god realm warriors were dead under the effects of his powers. Many warriors had gone insane, killing each other. And Yin acted unnaturally calm, floating in the bloody mist. He looked like a judge of hell, casually looking at the scene that scared people out of their wits. Allard was now convinced and admired him. He suddenly said with emotions, If you marry this man, he will be a great support to our master's hegemony. My young lady, this man won't be a frog in the pond. Sooner or later, he will become the hottest star in the raging flame star area. The beautiful eyes of Bai Ro showed that she was stunned. She looked in the direction Yen had disappeared, her mind in disorder. She still remembered when she first met Yen. On the 6th herbal star of the Underworld League, Yen was just a human body cauldron at that time that Nita had been using. She hadn't put him in her eyes. They just wanted to use his abundant blood chi to produce medicines and break through to the second sky of King God Realm. That year, Yen was just a small character not worth mentioning. At that time, he hadn't been eligible to talk to her. However, it has not been a long time. Not more than 10 years later, that small character had entered the second sky of King God Realm from his second sky of True God Realm. They were at the same realm, but his real competence had surpassed hers. After this short period, that small character had thrived intimidatingly at a speed they couldn't imagine. To recruit this man, her father wanted to sacrifice her life's happiness. She couldn't understand why. She bore a grudge against her father for his ruthless and heartless deed. She hated her father because he had cruelly interfered with her life. However, seeing the cold man floating in the middle of the blood mist, she didn't know why her heart suddenly shivered. The lake in her heart rippled marvelously as if someone had thrown a rock in it. She understood that no matter what her future would be, that scene would always be engraved in her heart. A cold and unfeeling man could always catch the eyes of women in the raging flame star area, and she wasn't an exception. Your Highness, if you can't recruit him one more time, you have to destroy him at any cost, said Aogera in a low tone while stooping down so nobody could see his real emotions. Zi Yao's body shivered. Her beautiful eyes were misty. Aogera's correct. Carthu suddenly stormed out. He was the first one leaving that area. He seemed to not be afraid of the hermit in the dark. Carthu's visage was grim. He's too dangerous. He's much more excellent than His Majesty when he was young. If he marries Feng Rao, the Heaven Punishment City will become the fourth strong force of the raging Flame Star area. It will threaten the overlord position of the divine nation. Sir, but Shi Yan, Yalin opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something. If he works for the divine nation, it will benefit our fortune. If he becomes our enemy, it will be a big disaster, Carthu sobbed, talking with emotions. Zi Yao's beautiful eyes sparkled with a dim light. Looking at the place where Shi Yan had disappeared, her heart was beating hard. However, she kept quiet. Your Highness, Aogera lifted his head, his eyes sharp. Zi Yao's soft body shook. She turned around to look at him. With an ice-like visage, she said deliberately, If I could choose only one between you and Shi Yan, I'm sorry. I would choose him. Aogera looked like he was struck. He paled, clutching his heart. He then said with a miserable smile, So that's it. I'm a fool. I'm AF * King Fool. If you haven't attacked him, and if you haven't joined the other to attack me, I wouldn't have said that. What did my brother Du Jia promise you that resulted in you giving him my information? Why did you end up waiting by my side? Zi Yao suddenly became strong. She didn't hide her disgust anymore, speaking coldly. Compared to you, he may be callous and wicked, but at least he wouldn't have acted so stealthily to manipulate me. He wouldn't have many faces like you, and he wouldn't change his face behind my back. Good talk. Aogera smiled miserably. Turns out I'm such a person in your heart. I finally wake up today. My uncle is right. In the eyes of the sort of woman like you, it is only about benefits and values. Every man has clear value in your eyes. Today, his value is greater than mine. He has surpassed me. That's why you chose him, right? It's your business, no matter how you think about that, Xiao sighed, waving her hand as she felt so heavy inwardly. You should go. My glorious amethyst, Star isn't a good place for you. I hope you can have a better world staying with Sir Ao Guduo. All right. I also want to see if Shi Yan ends up giving you all that you want in the end. We should clean our eyes and see. Aogera nodded. He turned around and left resolutely. Chapter 849. Burn your hand. Feel the heat. Chapter 849. Burn your hand. Feel the heat. Uncle Carthu, how did you dare to get out? Zi Yao quietly saw Aogera leaving. She knew that from now on, this man would walk the same way with Ao Guduo. He might become her biggest obstacle in the future. She didn't know why she felt relief, as if she had finally thrown away the weight on her shoulder. She was so happy she couldn't say why. Aogera had been with her for many years. For her, he had gone against Ao Guduo's calls. He had helped her manage the glorious amethyst star well. However, she understood that ambitious Aogera also had many wild schemes working for her. Because he liked her and he wanted to have her, Aogera could give up everything to work for her. However, since she knew he had done many dark schemes behind her back, and she finally got to know his real character, she couldn't feel comfortable facing him anymore. As Aogera had reminded her today of dealing with Shi Yan and killing him, he had eventually enraged her. Thus, she didn't hesitate to retort. I dared get out of there because I know that person wouldn't harm me. Carthu beamed a faint smile, his look strange. That hermit wants to protect Leona, although I don't know why I can understand him. Pausing for a while, Carthu lowered his voice. Those original God Realm experts who came here all had the thought of killing Leona. It's obviously to Feng Ku, Russell, Jianong, and Barrett of the Heaven Punishment. Anyway, by Tian Liu Feng, and even Ao Guduo wanted to kill Leona. Zi Yao's face changed as she nodded silently. This is also why I want to make the limit with Ao Gera. Ao Guduo's an overlord of a force of the divine nation. However, he got the bad scheme of ambushing Madame Leona while she was advancing her divine nation, which goes against the interest of the divine nation. Since they have a close relation, he and Ao Gera will stand on the same side at the critical moment. They seems to have some other plot. It's true that Ao Guduo wants Leona to die. He didn't want her to advance her power Upanishad. In the recent battle, he was attacked the most. Hence, he got the most serious wounds. Karthu sneered, his face strange. And me, among many people in that garden, is the only one that didn't want Leona to get hurt. I wanted to protect her. Maybe that hermit got my intention. He didn't attack me from the beginning to the end. In that crowd of original God Realm experts, I'm the only one who wasn't affected. Listening to him, Zi Yao's eyes brightened, yelling lightly. You're saying that is the person protected Madame Leona a precursor of our divine nation? No way, Karthu beamed a forced smile. Your Highness, you're overthinking. If he had worked for the divine nation, Feng Ku and Russell wouldn't have been at ease like that in the heaven punishment. I can say that he has some relationship with Madame Leona and nothing related to the divine nation. Oh, Xiao nodded, looking at the further area. Seems we don't need to worry about being disclosed. Yeah, many hotshots are gathering in the heaven punishment. Bai Tian, Liu Feng, and Ao Guduo are all at the second sky of original God Realm. With Feng Ku's forces, he couldn't control the whole situation. And as we have a hermit staying in the dark to guard the place, no one would dare to ignite the war again. Karthu smiled, then added, It's good that you have a clear line with Ao Gera. Perhaps that kid won't have doubts anymore. With your talent and appearance, it shouldn't be a hard task to recruit that kid one more time, right? Karthu smiled and said nothing else. Zi Yao's face blushed. She cursed under her breath, then bit her lower lip. It's good that he's all right. Karthu just smiled, didn't talk more. Uncle. Ao Gera walked alone in piles of debris. He stopped by Ao Guduo and said, Princess Zi Yao and I broke up. Ao Guduo had so many wounds on his legs, his face pale, listening to his nephew. Evil light sparkled in his eyes. What happened? Ao Gera squeezed a smile, sighing. She's chosen Shi Yen. Ao Guduo snorted. Women, especially the ones born in the royal family, they have only interest in their eyes. They don't have true loves. Seems you just wasted your time for nothing. I woke up. I won't put her in my heart any more, nodded Ao Gera. Yeah, it's good then. Having known on the heart, you can increase your power easier. With your natural endowment, you will surpass everyone else in the divine nation. Until that day, that woman won't escape your hand. However, it will come with the premise that you are powerful enough, said Ao Guduo in a low tone. I got it. I will wholeheartedly follow powers. Just like you, I will seek the breakthrough to the acme of the martial path, Ao Guduo said solemnly. We should go. Ao Guduo slowly got up. Looking at the abyss in the middle of ruins, he turned around shortly, leaving with Ao Gera without any hesitation. Bai Tian and Liu Feng of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce exchanged looks. Then they got up, leaving without saying anything. Bai Ro, Allard, and the warriors of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce gathered from different directions, following the 2-second sky of original God Realm experts. They disappeared shortly. Feng Ku's group just stared at them leaving. They didn't stop the others. However, their face was solemn and heavy. No matter it was Ao Guduo, Bai Tian, or Liu Feng, they were all at the second sky of original God Realm. Their real competence should be stronger than Feng Ku's. At this moment, the heaven punishment wasn't controlled by the 4 leaders anymore. If those 3 didn't want to quarrel with Feng Ku, he would want to burn some incense sticks already. Of course, Feng Ku's group didn't dare to act rashly. Those warriors who shouldn't appear in the heaven punishment left arrogantly. Along their way, many pirates were scared, making way for them proactively as if they were afraid that they would welcome trouble to their life. No one dared to explore that dark abyss. Although they knew it's possible that Leona was still in that chasm, they decided not to mind it. They acted as if nothing had happened. People detached, leaving quietly. The protector in the dark was too scary. It's obvious that he wanted to protect Leona, unless they were confident of their realm. If they provoked the other, they couldn't bear the consequences. Why did you guys scream just previously? On the way back, Baitian turned around, asking Ro and Allard with a little surprise. Allard was shaken. He hastened to lively narrate what he had witnessed. His face was full of excitement and respect. Commander, you have such a bright vision. That kid has an imposing potential. Now, I'm convinced that if he marries Our Lady by Ro, it will be a big assistance to your hegemony. Listening to Allard, Baitian's eyes brightened, but then he sighed. Young hero. Ro bit her lower lip, her face pale strangely. She didn't say anything, so they didn't know what she was thinking. Little Ro, what do you think? Asked Baitian all of a sudden. What? Ro was bewildered, lifted her head anxiously. I didn't hear you clearly. What do you think about that kid? Baitian smiled, repeating his question. He's a little bit excellent, Ro mumbled her answer, her beautiful eyes bright. More dangerous than anyone I've met. I'd wronged him. If I had known he could have such performance, I would have kept him at any cost, including getting married to him. Baitian chuckled, teasing his daughter. Father, don't tease me. You're annoying. Ro stooped shyly. She seemed to be touched, didn't resist furiously anymore. Women in the raging Flamestar area would enthrone the strong. Wild and stubborn young hotshots would attract their eyes better. Ro wasn't an exception. Yan's performance made her see him in a new aspect. The annoyance she got about him seemed to be smashed down. The lake in her heart now had a hunky figure who was playing the strings of her heart, making her uneasy. All right, I'll be on this. When we see him again, I will force him to marry you. Baitian laughed, as his mood wasn't bad. Nasty, Ro screamed in a low tone. Apparently, she didn't oppose this opinion. Father, what happened? Feng Rao and Feng Xiao walked behind Feng Ku, couldn't help but ask. We were trying to kill Leona. We thought that the experts of the three forces would disturb us. We didn't expect that all had the same purpose. Then we joined hands to fight. What a pity the hermit had dissolved our attacks. He even hurt us. Feng Ku took a deep breath, his face strange. I didn't know that the three forces have an internal problem like that. They seized the chance when darkness fell on the heaven punishment to attack Leona. Ao Guduo of the dark firmament divine nation also did that. Haha. I used to worry that our business couldn't be all right when so many warriors came like that. But now I feel more secure. At the moment, the heaven punishment had three forces, including the 9-star Chamber of Commerce, the Dark Firmament Divine Nation, and the Underworld League. However, none of them was strong enough to resist the local forces of the heaven punishment. If they joined hands, Feng Ku couldn't keep the star map, let alone carrying the expedition. However, after this battle, Feng Ku realized that the three big forces didn't like each other. They would never unite. They were different from Feng Ku, Russell, Jianong, and Barrett. At the critical moment when the latter had to face the three forces, they would unite without any barrier of grudges. Moreover, the hermetic expert of the heaven punishment was on their side, apparently. Thus, Feng Ku was confident that he could engage in the war with the three forces. Yan appeared, and he created a big commotion. Feng Xiao intervened, narrating what he had seen, his face grim. Father, Yan's absolutely a dangerous person. He's a two-bladed sword. If we can use him, he will be a tremendous support. But if we make a mistake, I'm afraid the damage would be doubled. Feng Ke listened to his son seriously. His face became solemn. That kid isn't easy to deal with. I'm so surprised he could be so powerful. Little Rao, what do you think? As long as I'm here, he won't consider us enemies. Father, if we can find the new star area and give him a star life, I think he will appreciate us, and it will make him on our side honestly, said Feng Rao solemnly. I won't be stingy. Don't worry. He has proven himself. Who in the heaven punishment or even in the raging flame star area dares to look down on him? Feng Ke said with a stern face. His name will be spread over the raging flame star area. No one would dare underestimate him. I know what to do. Thank you, Father, smiled Feng Rao. He disappeared. We don't know when he will show himself again. This kid is truly mysterious, sighed Feng Ke. He will reappear. I think when he shows himself, it will be a big surprise. Perhaps he will be even stronger. Feng Rao mumbled to herself. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tender affections. Chapter 850, Blood Formation. Chapter 850, Blood Formation, underscore. Sure, Yen didn't hide too far away. He was floating in the vast starry sky outside the land of God punishment. He was still not moving a finger. However, bloody murderous chi was still hovering around his body. Negative moods were moving disorderly in his soul altar, surging his sea of consciousness. Starlight from the immense starry sea and from the unknown. Further areas came and congregated in his body. Besides the think murderous chi, he also felt cool, which helped him relax. It contained the energy of the stars in outer space. The nebula inside the vortex at his lower abdomen slowly moved. The star floating amidst the nebula became more dazzling, releasing a strong suction force that was continually pulling and absorbing starlight. Starlight sprayed like rain, gathering at the vortex in his lower abdomen before rolling massively into that star. Sure, Yen felt the effects of the negative moods get reduced. The vortexes in 720 acupuncture points were revolving and refining the essence chi massively. During this process, his acupuncture points were enlarged and swollen, giving him annoying pains. After the black hole in his soul altar had taken in the soul energy, it was carrying out the same refining process. Shi Yan's god, soul, couldn't calm down even for a moment. At this moment, his situation wasn't good. After an unknown time, the thick murderous chi in his body diluted and faded away. The evil moods that nibbled at his soul stopped. Then he used the god soul to discharge them from his heart. Gradually, the mysterious energy started to ooze out from his acupuncture points, flowing towards his god soul. Sure, Yen then guided it toward the essence chi ancient tree to refill the energy he had consumed. Fishing in troubled water in the heaven punishment city gave him great benefits. 23 king god realm warriors were dead by furious fights under his deadly influence. He had discreetly absorbed the essence chi of those dead warriors. It was so thick and abundant he had never had before. He understood that he needed time for the refining process and that he couldn't be safe waiting in the heaven punishment city for a long time. Thus, he used space power to leave instantly to the vast starry sea outside the land of God punishment. In there, he wouldn't be disturbed while calming down the seething changes in his body. Shortly after, more and more mysterious energy gushed out from his acupuncture points. They murmured like invisible streams through his veins. The mysterious energy started to restore his flesh body miraculously. Shi Yan's immortal martial spirit started to create the immortal demon blood with the supply of the mysterious energy. A large amount of mysterious energy seeped into his god body. His body started to swell like a gas balloon. At this moment, his entire body had turned blood red, which looked scary and ferocious at the same time. The mysterious energy moved quickly in his veins. It was then condensed by the immortal martial spirit. A drop of immortal demon blood full of vigorous energy was produced, hiding deep inside his flesh body. Closing his eyes, Shuryen didn't think much and just tried to maintain this condition. His god soul was crystal clear, free of any impurities. His god body was instinctively producing immortal demon blood. After a while, slowly, no more mysterious, oozed out from his acupuncture points. At this moment, Shuryen looked like he had just woken up, opening his eyes. His soul consciousness started to check his body. He found that his body had produced several hundred drops of immortal demon blood. This time, the quantity of immortal demon blood produced was much more than any previous time. His thought flickers as he tried to put the drops of immortal demon blood into the veins to replace his own blood. Crack, crack, crack. Clear, cracking sounds echoed in his body, like thunder or much more like dashing drum beats. With the cracking sounds in his bones, his garments suddenly exploded, turning into dust and scattering. His blood-red, naked body was exposed together with his refined, intimidating. Each muscle of his seemed to be brimming with the earth-shattering energy. They were enlarging, triggering more energy. His blood veins became tremendously tenacious, and his bones were like the toughest metal that would never be broken by even divine weapons. Vigorous energy rolled torrentially in his internal organs. The blood chi was so thick and dense it made him shiver. It seemed that he now had an infinite source of power that he could use or simply waste. The immortal demon blood flooded his veins. At this moment, Shuryen couldn't control his body but enter the third sky of rampage. His eyes became bloodshot. The brutal, violent thoughts immersed in his mind. He suddenly wanted to kill all kinds of creatures. It seemed like the meaning of his existence was to destroy. He came to end every creature, taking away their life prestige. This frightful thought appeared like a seal in his head, like a cruel whisper in his ear, making him slaughter without thinking. It felt like when he killed something, he gained the marvelous happiness. It was like bedevilment. Thump, 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 thump. His heart beat strongly and vigorously. The vibration gradually expanded to his whole body. He started to shake. The blood-red mist hovered around his body, while the thoughts of slaughtering creatures multiplied in his head. The negative moods he had struggled to stop had burst out 10 times greater, as if they wanted to devour his mind at once. He was scared, petrified because of the vehement killing desire. He didn't want to lose his mind and become a monster that only wanted to kill. Taking a deep breath, he lifted his head to look at the sky. Starlight sparkled brilliantly in his eyes. He had to make his mind lucid. Then he used the god soul to control the nebula in the vortex in his lower abdomen to take in more star energy. Star energy fell like a dense sprinkle, covering his god body. The starlight was bright and cool. It was like an invisible hand stroking and calming down the devil's thoughts and negative emotions, preventing him from falling into bedevilment or losing his mind forever. He suddenly understood that he had absorbed too much essence, chi, from the dead this time. It was over his endurance. That was why he couldn't keep his mind as clear as he used to do. The cool star energy circulated in his body, while Shuryen thought about the trajectory of the nebula in his lower abdomen and the change of the galaxy his god soul could feel trying to match them. All of a sudden, Shuryen and countless stars in outer space had a vague connection. The starlight zoomed over his eyes, turning into the meteors' shootings toward his god body. The god soul was shaken. The soul altar revolved fast, while the star power fluctuation in the soul altar's tier of power Upanishad became mysterious and hard to detect. His chaotic consciousness was suppressed, becoming quiet. Deep inside his eyes was where the starlight sparkled. In his body, the nebula in the vortex in his lower abdomen became dazzling. Numerous star dots started to form a connection with the stars in outer space. It seemed like the nebula in his body had included all the stars in outer space. The small stars twinkled brightly inside the nebula in his lower abdomen, just like lit-up lanterns. They surrounded the biggest star in there, moving in the magical course of the stars. His consciousness became panicked. Starlight sparkled in his eyes, but he was baffled as if he had fallen into an unknown condition, wishing to answer some questions for his cultivation. At the same time, a large amount of starlight that fell from the sky congregated in his god body, making him a glorious star, which seemed to have gravity applied to other stars. Negative moods that multiplied in his head had left unknowingly. The mysterious energy oozing from his acupuncture points was wandering around his body, like stars scattered in the sky, and the mortal demon blood in his body gradually quieted down, no longer giving him more desire to kill. Sher Yen watched the starry sky. He seemed to be enchanted by the gorgeous marvel of the galaxy in the dome of heaven. Then he fell into the mysterious phase of understanding star power Upanishad. Thump, 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 thump. The strong heartbeat didn't stop. The vibration from the heart expanded to his entire god body, making him sway in rhythm. After each shake, more starlight shot towards him, sending sparks into the void while the energy entered his body. His god body became translucent, like a massive garnet jewel. It was dazzling, gorgeous, and beautiful in an eccentric way, giving people some intimidation from looking at it. His acupuncture points became swollen, giving him a vessel-tearing pain. He felt extreme pain in his internal organs. All burst out together, but the pain couldn't flood into his sea of consciousness. He couldn't feel anything. Sure, Yen didn't realize the pain or the fact that his god body was changing, carrying out the magical quenching process one more time. Gray smoke fumed out from pores in his entire body, vanishing in earth and heaven. That gray smoke was the contaminants generated in his god body during the current period. It was the dregs left after he had absorbed energy from different things. If they stayed in his body for a long time, it would reduce the quality of his god body. If he got hit, his bones would crack easily. However, after this time of quenching, his god body changed as if he had experienced resurrection. It was like what happened when he sank into the blood pond when he had just arrived in this world. At that time, his body was shrouded in a bloody cocoon, as if he was a chrysalis that hasn't turned into a beautiful butterfly yet. Inside the garnet pupa, he could hear the heartbeat and the violent vibration. It also had the aura of his energy and his circulating star energy. However, this big pupa didn't hinder the star energy from seeping into his god body. While he was under this circumstance, the starlight was still congregating into his body. Not only that, inside the cocoon, his absorbing speed and the productivity had increased several times. Sher Yen stayed inside the blood-red pupa, learning the truth about his star power Upanishad. In the power Upanishad tier of his soul altar, the star energy movement was clear and vibrant. While he didn't recognize it, the extreme pure star energy started to flow out of the black hole in his soul altar. It seeped into the soul altar, while a big part of it flooded the heaven flame soul altar. The heaven flame staying in his soul altar became thrilled. That kind of energy had given them a big boost for their growth and ascension. Just like Sher Yen, the heaven flame started to transform. Apparently, at the time he broke this pupa, he would have a marvelous transformation. His realm and power would be upgraded for the second time. Chapter 851, The Overcast Sky. Chapter 851, The Overcast Sky. Blue Demon's Headquarter, Heaven Punishment City. The four leaders of the pirates, Feng Ku, Jianong, Barrett, and Russell, were gathering together with more than 10 other pirate leaders. They were all solemn as they were going to decide whether they should leave or stay in the Heaven Punishment City. "We must go. If we delay, Fan, he will catch us shortly." Feng slammed his brows together. "He is different from Ao Guduo and Liu Feng. Fan, he is at the third sky of original God realm. You guys all know his perilous features. It has been years since the 9-star Chamber of Commerce started thriving under Fan's management. His mighty force is the peak of the entire Raging Flame Star area. Everybody fell into silence. Fan's reputation was widespread in the Raging Flame Star area. At the third sky of Original God Realm, he was the well-known zenith of the Raging Flame Star area, which had the same meaning with the word invincible. When such a character suddenly came to the Heaven Punishment City, no one in Fong's group was able to resist. They could be killed instantly right when they saw him. Fong's group didn't think that the hermit in the Heaven Punishment City would risk his life to battle Fan for them, either. More importantly, no one knew the real intention of that hermit or if he was an equal opponent to Fan or not. Fong's group also didn't want to entrust their lives in the hands of someone they didn't know. Anyway, when we leave the Heaven Punishment City, they won't be afraid of anything. They would come to take the star map. Aogu Duo, Liu Fong, and Bai Tian are all at the second sky of Original God Realm. They haven't taken action yet because they are afraid of that mysterious hermit. They followed the rules of the Heaven Punishment City. But when we leave the Heaven Punishment City, we're not sure if that hermit will be able to take care of us or not. It will be big trouble for us then, said a leader of the pirates. This is also why they hadn't come to a conclusion yet. Aogu Duo, Liu Fong, and Bai Tian were all at the second sky of Original God Realm, the same with Feng Ke. However, their real competencies would be one level higher. Any force of the said 3 forces was a big threat to them. Once they joined hands, the chance for the pirates to escape was tiny. Are Aogu Duo, Liu Fong, Bai Tian stronger than Fan He, the headmaster of the Fan family? Fong contemplated for a while, then gave a low shout. Hearing him, everybody else paled. Russell's eyebrows convulsed. He said with a savage face, compared to Fan, he Aogu Duo, and the others are easier to deal with. Fan, he has achieved wicked and cruel deeds. He came here because of his dead brother. His wrath of anger will destroy the entire Heaven Punishment City. What do you mean? Jia Nong frowned, asking. Leave. We must leave. Hurry up. Russell said resolutely and decisively. Jia Nong was shaken, nodded. If you say so, I agree with you. In this group, Russell had the deepest resentment against the Fan family. The thought of killing the Fans was always in his mind. Today, Fan he was coming, which could be one time in a blue moon, but he decided to give it up. The others saw how terrifying Fan he was to him. Russell was famous for being the man to seek revenge for the slightest grievances. He was also a narrow-minded person. If he decided to quit, it left only one possibility, as the other was too dangerous. Any other idea? Fong raked through the crowd, but he actually just asked Russell, Jianong, Barrett, and Jester, because these 4 were like him. They had the Original God Realm, and he only considered warriors at this level. I have no idea. I agree to leave. Me too. Agreed. Let's go. Russell, Jianong, Barrett, and Jester were the 4 experts at the Original God Realm. They all nodded and expressed that they wanted to leave as soon as possible. When the 5 Original God Realm experts all came to a conclusion, the others' ideas became trivial. All right, we should prepare now. I know you are almost finished with our arrangement. We should leave early. We can't delay it any longer. Fong took a deep breath and comforted people. The 3 forces don't get along well. They won't really unite, and they aren't familiar with the forbidden lands outside the land of God punishment. And we've united to fight and protect our lives. We know the forbidden lands outside the land of God punishment like the back of our hands. This is our territory. Once we leave the land of God punishment and enter the forbidden lands in outer space, shouldn't we be able to cut them off? Hearing him, everybody calmed down. Even the ones who didn't agree with them had nodded their head. It's true that the land outside the land of God punishment was a matrix of forbidden areas. Many of them were hazardous. People who weren't familiar with the conditions could be punished with fatal consequences. Even if they got the original God realm cultivation base, it wouldn't make them an exception. As long as they could leave the land of God punishment, they could use their information of the surrounding topography to hide safely. Or they could even lure their opponents into the most dangerous area of the Forbidden Lands. We've been well prepared. Russell and the others had arranged everything several days ago. Seeing the others agree with the escape plan, they became excited, preparing to get out of the land of God punishment. Shortly after, war chariots flew across the sky of the Heaven Punishment City like countless locusts swarming the place. It looked magnificent indeed. Those war chariots were in different styles, colors, and shapes. The flags they had indicated their forces. They hovered neatly in the air. No battle, no quarrel. They seemed to be waiting for something. The most ruthless and bloodthirsty pirates of the Heaven Punishment City soared up into the sky from different corners and alleys of the Heaven Punishment City. They aligned with the thick cloud of war chariots, checking their formation for the last mobilization before carrying out the operation. Inside the city, Ao Guduo, Karthu, Liufeng, and Baitian frowned as they looked at the commotion in the sky. They exchanged thoughts using soul consciousness. Not long afterward, their team started to head to the headquarters of the Blue Demon Pirates, as they had planned. After 2 hours, experts of the three forces appeared on the spacious street outside the Blue Demon's base. Many shops in the Heaven Punishment City were closed due to the dangerous situation of the city. Warriors who didn't belong to the three big forces came to the Heaven Punishment City to also trade their goods. However, the person was not showing his or her face. The packed street in the past became isolated. They couldn't even see a shadow. Everybody realized that a big catastrophe would happen in the Heaven Punishment City shortly. People who didn't want to get involved in this mess and get killed fled unknowingly all the way. Karthu, Zi Yao Yalin, Tai Mu, and a dozen warriors under his commands arrived. However, they didn't stand near Ao Guduo. They kept a distance from Ao Guduo as an independent force. Seeing him come, Ao Guduo just frowned, saying nothing. Besides Ao Gera, his team also had more than 10 warriors who had just arrived. When Ao Gera saw Zi Yao, his blonde hair flew, even though there was no wind. His eyes were cold too. He didn't bend to greet her and turned away instead. He didn't want to see her. Although they were the forces of the dark firmament divine nation, Ao Guduo and Karthu didn't join hands, let alone by Tian and Liufeng. If they hadn't known about the big operation of the pirates, they wouldn't have gathered here. 2 days ago, the massive abyss where Leona disappeared had no dark aura anymore. It seemed that Leona had disappeared from the land of God punishment. No one was able to sense her soul energy fluctuation, so no one could know whether she was still in the land of God punishment or not. Not being able to see her made people uneasy and anxious. Since they all knew that Karthu and Leona were close, they weren't so sure if they had contacted discreetly or not. Thus, after Karthu had arrived, Ao Guduo, Liufeng, and Baitian had to frown, saying nothing. You came on time. The pirates are going to leave the land of God punishment. What do you think? Ao Guduo asked after pondering for a while. I don't know. Anyway, I won't attack them inside the city. But if you guys want to attack after they've left the Heaven Punishment City, I have no objections. Karthu smiled, his visage calm and natural. He acted as if he didn't care about the star map. What do you think? Ao Guduo looked at Liufeng and Baitian. I'm sure that we can attack them in the Heaven Punishment City. Liufeng wore a ferocious and malignant face. I mean, we'll give them time to leave the city. Then, we will see if that hermit still wants us to stop. Then we will discuss again. What do you think? I have the same idea, laughed Baitian. That person in the city is too strong. I don't want to enrage him. If he doesn't interfere, those pirates can't do anything. All right, we will let them leave the city. First, we will kill the pirates. Then, you guys should depend on your own competences. Aoguduo agreed immediately. The powerful characters of the three big forces exchanged looks. They immediately agreed. They planned that after Feng Ku and his people had left the Heaven Punishment City, they would start to attack fiercely. After they were done with the pirates, they would compete against each other to get the star map. As they had determined their plan, they didn't talk more, scattering and discussing with their own people for a detailed plan. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After 1 hour, battleships and war chariots in the sky roared, rocketing through the atmosphere, heading to the star area outside the land of God Punishment. The clouds of battleships and chariots didn't line up. It diverged into so many different paths. They scattered like schools of fishes swimming to different river branches. In outer space, they changed their direction, heading to different regions. The energy crystals triggered at once. They flashed like lightning strikes in the sky. They seemed to know the plan of the three big forces, not wanting to give them a chance to catch them all at once. That's why they decided to use this plan. Indeed, seeing the pirates flee away was nice. Each flow included pirates, battleships, and war chariots from different organizations. Aoguduo's team was perplexed. They didn't know which flow they should pursue, or which battleship or war chariot Feng Ku was hiding in. Having no other option around, Aoguduo, Carthu, Liu Feng, and Baitian could only diverge and chase after the pirates. They tried to sense the four strongest auras among the others. For the time being, people saw lights shooting across the sky of the land of God Punishment, like the rainbows. They all zoomed to the horizon, tearing the dome of the high sky. The war, which would shake the entire raging flamestar area, slowly began at this moment. And Shurian, he was still floating in the starry sea of outer space inside his blood pupa, waiting for the moment to emerge from his chrysalis. Chapter 852, Shurian's Face. Chapter 852, Shurian's Face. War chariots tore the sky and stormed into the immense starry sea like lightning strikes. Experts from the three big forces also released their surging powers, rocketing into the sky from the Heaven Punishment City. They diverged into four flows, chasing after pirates who were going into the land of God Punishment. Countless lightning strikes suddenly appeared in the vast sky. They also saw flames, ice mines, etc. Beautiful wonders created by different god domains bloomed in the starry sky of the land of God Punishment. They colored a marvelous but dangerous picture. Bloody slaughter Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu sat in the tiger shark war chariots, mingling with the other pirates. As they were assigned by Feng Ku, they were heading toward a forbidden land outside the land of God Punishment. Flags of different pirate organizations flew in the starry sky. Battleships and war chariots whistled and roared like savage beasts that were swaggering in earth and heaven. They fired scorching light, flames, and smoke. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sibilant sounds of the swift-moving chariots pierced their ears. Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu waited in silence, releasing their soul consciousness. They didn't dare to relax for even a moment, putting up guard. Watch out! Ka-Tuo's pupils shrank. He shouted from the tiger shark war chariot, his face solemn. Boom! The dazzling white light crossed the sky like meteors, shot from their battleships and war chariots. A several hundred-meter battleship was pierced through. Some king god realm warriors who weren't vigilant enough were crushed into meatballs. Hiss, hiss! The siren-like hissing seemed to not stop. More scorching white lights were shot over. They looked like shiny sharp swords, bombarding the several hundred-meter battleship and making it look like a beehive. Many pirates died. However, they weren't Ka-Tuo's men. Where's Feng Ku? a low voice thundered in the middle of the pirates, war chariots, and battleship. Baitian, the general commander of the Underworld League, appeared with dozens of experts behind him. They released the god domains, their auras ancient and strong. While they were talking, sounds of water murmuring arose from Baitian's body. He threw both hands into the air, tearing something in the void. 2 water dragons of 1,000 meters were condensed. They faced the sky, roared, and stormed to the pirates to slaughter them. The 1,000-meter water dragons were condensed from 10,000 tons of water with tremendous power. Baitian used his soul to control them. While they turned their head and flagged their tail, they had crushed the shabby battleship into fragments. 10,000 caddies water! Baitian shouted. Water drops shot out from his 10 fingers, each of them as heavy as 10,000 caddies. A drop of this black water was like a small mountain. Under Baitian's power, the black water drops turned into black water beads, rotating and shelling towards each war chariot. The war chariots were made of quenched metals, which was really rigid. However, when the 10,000 caddies water touched them, the chariots fragmented quickly. Some even exploded. The warriors staying inside the war chariots couldn't endure the energy carried by the water. They were pressed to death. Baitian cultivated water power, Upanishad. When he broke through to the original god realm, he had a marvelous encounter, which gave him the ability to condense his energy and create a connection with some kind of a water source in the immense star area. He used this water to create the 10,000 caddies water. The 10,000 caddies water was created by his power Upanishad and his energy. It seemed like this black water was the mediator to guide some magical matter of the water. This matter was so heavy and firm that nothing could damage it. Such strange and yet powerful matter was the extraordinary feature of Baitian's water. Each drop of the 10,000 caddies water was small, but as heavy as a mountain. As he could use his god soul to control them, the drops of water had become an intimidating weapon of his, assisting him in bombarding his enemies to death. Under his power, the black beads of the 10,000 caddies moved back and forth in the starry sky, barging into the battleship and war chariots. Those vehicles couldn't endure those drops for even a second. They all exploded. By Ro, Allard, and the warriors under Baitian's command gathered, starting to attack. They put the pirates into a fix. Shortly after, they had killed dozens of pirates. So strong! This is the power at the second sky of original God Realm. Ka-Fu discolored suddenly. We don't have any force to counterattack. Deji, what should we do? Hide. We just need to hide in the Forbidden Land, and we can flee from this dangerous situation. Ka-Tuo's face was ferocious, green vessels bulging under his skin like worms. While he didn't notice, his eyes had turned garnet. Baitian's realm was much more profound and subtle than his. He had also comprehended some magnificent power of water. Ka-Tua didn't think that he could use his power to resist the 10,000 caddies water. If he couldn't be an opponent, he could only run away. Seizing the chance when the situation was in chaos, Ka-Tua and Ka-Fu whistled, signaling their team to hurry to get into a forbidden land. Baitian's eyes were disdainful. He didn't catch those pirates as he moved to and fro between the fragments of the pirates, war chariots, and battleship as if he was taking a walk in an empty park. He was moving quickly like a fish in water, giving people a feeling that he was swimming in a vast sea, maintaining a deep harmony with his water power Upanishad. Just like a fish wandering in the sea, Baitian sometimes extended his hand and shot a stream from his fingertip, blowing off a war chariot that stood on his way. No one had the power to resist him along the way. Even when 10 King God realm warriors joined hands, they couldn't fight him. He killed them with ease. However, the tiger shark war chariots, which weren't considered top quality, often became the fish that escaped the net. Baitian didn't attack them. A tiger shark war chariot was just 10 meters away from him, but Baitian just ignored it. None of the war chariots and battleships that by Tion had exploded had bloody slaughter caught Tuo's flag. It seemed like he wanted to let them survive. By Ro and Allard followed by Tion. They were attacking the pirates that they could see. However, they avoided the tiger shark war chariots. It wasn't sure if they meant it or not. As long as they were pirates under Ka Tuo's commands, they could run away with ease. Deji, it seems like we're all okay. Do you know Bai Tian? Ka Fu poured more energy into the war chariot, changing the direction of his chariot and asking with surprise. Ka Tua didn't know head or tail, shaking his head. No. How could I befriend a character like Bai Tian? Moreover, we're the enemy of the three big forces. Bai Tian hasn't shown mercy in treating me because I am a pirate. How could he know me? Then it's strange. Did you see that? Our people can dodge their attacks easily. Are they so blind that they just simply don't see our pirates? Ka Fu was suspicious. I don't know neither. Ka Tua didn't know the causes. Slosh, slosh, slosh. A transparent stream appeared in front of the two. A large amount of steam arose, hindering their visions even though they heard splashing. The tiger shark war chariot sank into the stream as if it had fallen into a deep, muddy puddle. The war chariot slowed down several times, slowing down from a tiger shark to a turtle. It became sluggish in this stream of water. Not good. They want to capture us. Ka Fu suddenly got it. He paled and screamed, "Damn it! They want to capture us to track down Feng Ke. I think they have some other plan." Ka Tuo's face darkened. He didn't say anything, but his blood-red eyes were twinkling as if he was weighing pros and cons. At the most critical moment, he was making up his mind. Swoosh! A flow of water sparkled. The stream rippled, and Bai Tian's figure was created inside the water. He was smilingly looking at the two brothers, prying, "How are you guys related to Shi Yan?" "Why do you ask?" Ka Tua was surprised. He suddenly realized that his tiger shark war chariot was not the only one confined to this stream. His fellows' war chariots were also unable to be moved. They seemed to not be able to break the restraint of this river. "You just need to answer me," Bai Tian frowned. "We work for him." Ka Tuo's head worked fast. A light flashed, and he came up to that answer. Bai Tian's eyes twinkled. He contemplated for a while, then waved his hands. "I'll give him face. You guys say hello to him for me. Okay, go. You can leave now." The power confining them disappeared. That river diverged, releasing the tiger shark war chariots. The sluggish war chariots roared and soared away. Ka Tua and Ka Fu flew at max speed with their baffled face. They didn't know why Bai Tian let them go. "Master, we can let them go, but shouldn't we have asked them where to find Feng Ke before they left?" Allard approached him. He couldn't help but ask since he didn't know his boss's intentions. If you want to give someone favor, you have to do it completely. Or else, how can we show them how sincere we are? Bai Tian smiled, talking deliberately. "We don't need to worry about Feng Ke. He can't dodge us forever. They are pirates. But why do they work for Shi Yan?" Bai Ro's bold brows furrowed, asking all of a sudden. "We asked Ka Tua to ambush Xiao that time. Did he join his operation too? Oh, if so, he's too cunning and wicked. If he wanted to deal with Xiao, she couldn't have a chance to survive in the solar star exploding fragment field. It's because of Shi Yan that Ka Tua aborted the mission, I suppose," Bai Tian explained. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, his assumption was correct. Ka Tua cultivates a special power Upanishad. I think he will enter the original God realm soon. Once this man crosses that threshold, his achievement in the future would be tremendous. If Shi Yan got him as his subordinate, he would be like a tiger with a pair of wings. His bright future would be immeasurable. Allard and Bai Ro were touched, listening to him. They apparently also thought about that bright point. A giant, blood-red chrysalis was floating in a remote area outside the land of God punishment. A group of warriors coming from the Far Star area diverged into two teams. They surrounded the blood pupa. Dozens of warriors in the battleships and war chariots were surprised, looking at the pupa as if they were trying to guess what stayed inside that giant pupa. Those people included a certain person. This person was Nita, master of the 6th herbal star. Chapter 853. Break the Chrysalis. Chapter 853. Break the Chrysalis _ More than 10 several hundred-meter-long battleships, made of brown-gray stones, appeared. They looked like mini meteorites that could move. Warriors at relatively high realms stood in each battleship with anchors and some conical war chariots which looked like the shuttles. Alchemist Nita appeared in this team. She was standing respectfully behind a lanky old man. This old man had long white hair draped over his shoulder. He was Tua Hai, one of the 3 general commanders of the Underworld League. He was as famous as Baitian. A beautiful girl of the Sea clan was giggling on another war chariot. Her black hair cascaded like a waterfall hanging loose on her plump rear end. Her beautiful, watery eyes had the color of the ocean, which could arouse people and give them some wandering thoughts. She was another general commander of the Underworld League, Monica. She was the enchanting beauty famous in the entire Raging Flame Star area. However, she had some bad habits. Tua Hai and Monica were the general commanders of the Underworld League. However, their forces were a little weaker than Baitian's in the Underworld League. Anyway, they were the ones with important roles. As assigned by the hegemon of the Underworld League, they came to the land of God punishment for the star map. When they gathered with Baitian, they realized that they must take the star map to expand the territory of the Underworld League. However, as they were halfway to the land of God punishment, they found something strange in this area, a giant blood chrysalis. Surging life energy fluctuated from the blood chrysalis. Under the starlight, it looked like a massive garnet jewel, sparkling in blood-red hue. It looked terrifying somehow. Tua Hai and Monica stood in their battleships, looking at the garnet pupa from a distance, their faces solemn. They could sense that a life was transforming inside the garnet chrysalis. However, with their realms and cultivation base, they couldn't see through that blood chrysalis to see its inside. As they didn't know who or what was in the chrysalis, they hesitated, thinking about what they should do. The land of God punishment had many mysteries that no one could explain. Even Tua Hai and Monica, the great valiant experts of the Underworld League, had to be cautious in this area. Moreover, before they departed, they had received the news of an intimidating hermit staying in the land of God punishment who dared to kill Fan, his brother. After that, they planned to never act recklessly. Tua Hai, what do you think? Monica giggled. Her voice seemed to have enchanting powers that aroused men who listened to her. They blushed, having a physiological reaction. They were in the back area of the land of God punishment, while a furious war was occurring in the front. However, since it was a vast area, they couldn't feel the war on the other side. What do I think? The slender, white-headed old man frowned. I don't want to waste my time. Kill him or just leave. You can sense the war ahead. The land of God punishment is about to go through great change. Do you want to stay here and wait for him to get out of that thing? You're the big brother. I listen to you. We will do as we're told. Monica's slim eyebrows convulsed. She smiled with passion in her eyes, as if she was acting spoilt for her lover. Warriors from different races in more than 10 battleships became aroused, looking at her as though they hated that they couldn't swallow her up at once. Each time she frowned or smiled, she released an endless charm that made her look like a ripe, succulent peach. She was magnificently attractive to men. Moreover, she seemed to be good at seducing men. Each word of hers was so inviting that it made people crazy. You shouldn't use that posture. Tua Hai snorted. I don't want to waste time. Send someone there to break that bloody thing. Let's see what is ahead. He ordered a second sky of King God Realm Warrior behind him to storm into that area using an arm that didn't have flesh or blood. Instead, it only had transparent bones, slashing at that blood chrysalis. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Strange sounds arose in the void. White light flashed. His saber-like arm sent out a sharp energy blow. Boom! The saber arm slashed on the blood chrysalis, releasing a blood halo. The chrysalis was shaken. That second sky of King God Realm Warrior felt like a hammer pounded on his chest. The backlash from the blood chrysalis sent him backward. While he was still flying in the void, his chest burst open as his bones exploded. A bloodthirsty, murderous aura shot out from the blood chrysalis together with the frightening energy fluctuation. It was the same amount of power as a first sky of original God Realm expert. Tuahai and Monica were bewildered, frowning. Seems like that is a tough warrior then. Monica smiled charmingly, clapping her hands. I like it. Interesting. The land of God punishment is really interesting indeed. Just a warrior that we randomly met on the way had such power. I think here there is more fun than in the place we're supposed to go. Tuahai's face was dark and gloomy. He looked like he was afraid of something. How are you? He looked at the warrior who had just returned. General Commander, that person is powerful and evil. I'm not his opponent. The man lowered his head, giving an embarrassed smile. Send another one. Tuahai nodded, giving another order. A third sky of King God Realm expert from the demon clan who cultivated metal power, Upanishad, dashed out. A gold light like a ribbon shot out from both of his palms. The metal power struck at the red cocoon. Bang! The blood light expanded, suppressing the gold light instantly. The demon clan expert couldn't resist that power with his third sky of King God Realm. He fell like a kite having its line broken. Tuahai discolored. Monica stopped teasing, her beautiful eyes solemn. Boom, boom, boom. The strong rhythm of heartbeat could be heard from the giant blood chrysalis. Gradually it was broken, turning into garnet dust and scattering. Shiryan's brawny, naked body was exposed. His entire body had a red hue that made him look like a boiled shrimp. Each of his muscles was shivering. Blood chi emitted with strong, explosive power. Oh, wow, a hunky man! Monica was surprised, screaming. Her beautiful eyes twinkled as if she was really interested in this man. She smiled charmingly. Hey, good brother, why did you cultivate here? What's your power, Upanishad? It looks strange. Monica didn't care about what the others thought, flying out of her battleship. The floaty red-orange, silky ribbon hovered around her graceful body, giving her a natural charm of an attractive banshee. OF*CK. That shameless slut. Low woman. She's. Many female warriors of Tuahai's team turned around, not even thinking about seeing Shiryan. They gritted their teeth and cursed at Monica. Monica wasn't afraid of them, still smiling like a spring breeze. She looked so excited. Good brother, come to your sister. I will help you get dressed. Her voice suddenly became soft and low with immense passion. She seemed able to make people sink into her affection and fall under her feet. Shiryan looked charmed, his eyes hot for a short moment. All of a sudden, a cold current flooded his body. He woke up immediately. He was vigilant in taking out a blue warrior costume to wear. It's you! Nita shouted hoarsely. Who? Who is he? Tuahai frowned, turning around to look at her, his face serious. Shiryan, he's Shiryan, the one who attended the extreme purgatory field. He took the star map out of the purgatory star and handed it to Feng Ku. Nita shouted in fear. She had a visible fright on her face. Her impression of Shiryan was deep indeed. In that year, after Bairo and Allard had taken Shiryan from the 6th herbal star, Xiao had rescued him not long after that. Allard and Byro had to say sorry to her. From that day, Nita started to pay attention to Shi Yan. After several years, she collected news of Shi Yan in the dark firmament divine nation through her channels. When she knew that Shi Yan's realm had been upgrading abnormally fast, and that Shi Yan was Zi Yao's subordinate with excellent performances in the dark firmament divine nation, she couldn't sleep or eat well. Of course, she remembered what evil deed she had done on Shi Yan's body. Shi Yan's intimidation scared her. She was afraid that Shi Yan would return to the sixth herbal star to take her life as revenge. When Tua Hai invited her to the land of God punishment, she got more news of Shi Yan along the way. The more she knew, the more worried she got. She was afraid that Shi Yan would kill her shortly. Unexpectedly, when they had arrived in the land of God punishment and hadn't yet stepped on the heaven punishment, she had encountered the person she didn't want to see most. Nita had a heavy headache. She hastened to say, "This man can't be recruited. Since he's with the pirates, he doesn't belong with the dark firmament divine nation's forces anymore. We can kill him. We must eradicate this danger." Her words exploded like firecrackers. Tua Hai's and Monica's teams became boisterous. They looked at Shi Yan with fear. Many female warriors in their teams, who favored the strong men, had their eyes twinkle. They started to observe him without blinking. Women like strong men, especially the young and famous ones, they were more attracted to such figures. And Shi Yan wasn't an anonymous junior anymore. Because of the star map, his name had been echoed in the entire raging flame star area. His relationship with Feng Rao, his battle with Blackhorn, and his performance in the heaven punishment just several days ago were spreading out everywhere, touching the hearts of countless women who worshipped the strong and young experts. Seeing Shi Yan at this moment, although he could be their enemy, he still made those girls' hearts beat faster. They all paid attention to him. Chapter 854. Decided but not yet pronounced son-in-law. Chapter 854. Decided but not yet pronounced son-in-law. When the name of Shi Yan was announced, warriors under Tua Hai's and Monica's commands stirred restlessly. Male warriors felt annoyed, while female warriors were curious. In the eyes of many men, this brat came out from nowhere. He had come to the dark firmament divine nation because of Zi Yao's glamour. Although his relationship with Zi Yao was unclear in the Purgatory Star, he had messed around with Feng Rao, Feng's daughter. His deeds made people hate him. Zi Yao's was famous in this world, and she was known for her beauty. She was the greatest treasure that every man dreamed of, and the warriors of the Underworld League weren't an exception. Feng Rao was also a famous beauty of the land of God punishment. Shi Yan's relationship with the two most beautiful women displeased many men. However, in the eyes of those women, it was totally different. They respected the strong experts, especially the young and handsome ones. They couldn't control their hearts when they heard about such brilliant men. Those women had a different perspective about the shady love triangle between Shi Yan, Zi Yao, and Feng Rao. Even Zi Yao and Feng Rao, the ones with keen eyes, had feelings towards this man. This meant that he had something extraordinary. Such were women's thoughts. If I can conquer this man and make him kneel under me, wouldn't it be an indirect way of showing that I'm more charming than Zi Yao and Feng Rao? In any case, Shi Yan was really excellent and good-looking. They've seen his competence. It was extreme indeed. Thus, many mild ladies of the Underworld League, whether they were reserved, dignified, or elegantly hot, they were all interested in Shi Yan. They smiled, giggling and staring at Shi Yan. Among them, the General Commander Monica had the greatest interest. This bad woman always liked the young hotshots in the raging Flamestar area. She was enthusiastic about this trip because she also wanted to see how dangerous Shi Yan was. Now that she finally saw him, she couldn't hide her excitement. "Good brother, you are Shi Yan?" Good. I like people like you. Come here, come here. Come to your sister. If that old man Tua Hai wants to deal with you, I won't let him do that. Monica smiled charmingly. She forgot what she had just said, indicating that she wanted to stay on the opposite side of Tua Hai. She was inexplicable indeed. This woman was more famous for her mentality than her beauty. When she saw her masculine prey, she became strange and unreasonable. Sometimes she would even destroy their big business. Before, Tua Hai had come to the land of God punishment. His biggest concern was her mentality and her odd behaviors. He didn't think that she would burst out that fast. He grimaced and shouted, "Don't forget our purpose." I didn't. The star map, right? This will not conflict. Our good little brother here knows that the star map is in Fengke's hands. He will help us. Monica's white hands waved at Shurian. She smiled, asking Shurian to come closer. Shurian's face was cold. He stared at her, but he didn't move. He was looking at Nita from a distance. This alchemist from the 6th herbal star had planted pellets inside his body, making him a human body cauldron. She was a cruel person. Of course. Shurian wouldn't forget this grudge. Seeing her today, he had a thought. Seeing that Shurian was not looking at Monica with her seducing and inviting bearings and looking at old granny alchemist Nita instead, the others were baffled. Ah, he has styles. This kid has a special fetish. Haha, he likes the old bones. Interesting. This is F** King interesting. Well, Nita's disgraceful behaviors make me sick. I didn't think that he likes this type. His taste is a little heavy, isn't it? Extremely heavy indeed. Many perverted warriors became excited, shouting a lot of vulgar comments. Nita was shaking in anger. She almost vomited blood. You fools! Shut up! What a pity! Neither her realm nor her status was high enough for her voice to make an impact here. Those people didn't care about her words, and instead gave more rude comments. Nita was so angry she almost started to attack them. Shurian, on the opposite side, didn't change his face. He looked at Nita distantly, giving a faint smile. Long time no see. Do you think that you will get your revenge here? Master Tua Hai has invited me. What do you think you can do? Nita straightened her back under his cold, scrutinizing eyes. She wanted to use Tua Hai's name not to make herself look too frightened. Capture him! Tua Hai snorted and looked at Monica. You do it, or I will do it myself. This kid must be kept alive. Capture? No. Too impolite. I want to talk to my good little brother. I think he has been affected by bad rumors. That's why he doesn't look at me. Let me talk to him. He'll figure it out. Monica flew charmingly and honestly. Her deep blue eyes were filled with her affection. A magical power Upanishad was triggered discreetly. Slosh, slosh, slosh. The sound of water splashing arose. A long river that looked like a silver, silky ribbon swept over from a far distance. Bai Tian appeared from the river. He shouted, Monica, what are you doing? Monica's ambiguous intent domain was destroyed when the man shouted. Sure, Yen was restored from his perplexed condition a second time. Recently, the ice-cold flame had used its cold energy, but it couldn't wake him up. Monica's magical intent domain seemed to be able to run directly into people's heart. Sure, Yen couldn't control his consciousness. He just listened to her arrangement. This is a rare mind power Upanishad. Sure Yen suddenly understood. He then looked at Monica with fear in his eyes. Mind Power Upanishad was one of the countless powers Upanishad in earth and heaven. It was a very magical one that required more than just cultivation to get into the track. Normally, a warrior that could make Mind Power Upanishad his main power and create the soul altar was innately talented. They were born with the gift of mind reading. It was similar to martial spirit. Only people with such gifted talent could cultivate the mind power Upanishad and create the soul altar. With only their efforts, it was really hard to achieve great things on cultivating mind Upanishad. Monica was a gifted and talented individual in cultivating mind Upanishad. Each of her words, or even her frowns or facial expressions, could affect people's mind and control them. The moment Shuryen had emerged from his chrysalis, she had used her mind power Upanishad to erode Shuryen's will. However, she was careless since she had underestimated him. When the ice-cold flame helped him out of his enchanted state, Monica noticed, and she released her mind power Upanishad. She was at the second sky of original God realm, like Baitian. When she urged the power of the mind Upanishad, the ice-cold flame couldn't do anything. If Baitian didn't come in time to break her ambiguous power, Shuryen wouldn't have woken himself up. He would have been dull and controlled and would have become her new fancy cougar cub. Monica wasn't enraged when her intent domain was broken. Instead, she laughed cheerily. Baitian Deji, why are you here? What happened? Why are you in a rush? Is he your son-in-law? Yeah, you're right. Shuryen's my decided, but not yet pronounced son-in-law. Baitian grinned when he admitted this. As soon as he agrees, I will let my daughter marry him. I won't change my word. Hearing him, everybody else was stunned. Many men jerked as if were hit at their Achilles' heel, screaming and yelling. Sir Baitian, who is that brat? How could he be eligible to marry young Lady Byro? Absolutely not. Lady Byro is a noble person. How could she marry a son of bitch who came from nowhere like him? Master Baitian, are you kidding? I can't believe it. Everybody expressed their objections. Different from Ziyao and Feng Rao, Byro was a true beauty of the Underworld League. She had a huge fan base and countless flower guards. She was the beauty in the dreams of many young warriors in the Underworld League. Ziyao, Feng Rao, and Shuryen had something related. They could endure that. But Byro was the goddess of the Underworld League. They couldn't accept that she had to marry Shuryen. This was naked vandalism to their fragile hearts. However, it stirred up the girls of the Underworld League. They were now even more interested in Shuryen. They started to discuss boisterously and stared at Shuryen with hot eyes. Some gathered their guts and threw him inviting eyes, trying to pose their charming and graceful figures. This irritated people further. They hated that they couldn't tell Shuryen off. Baitian Deji, you're kidding, right? Monica was startled, her face disbelieving. Everybody knew how much Baitian loved his daughter. He cherished her like a treasure. How could he let Byro marry a man of unknown origin? That man even had some affairs with other women. He didn't have a good reputation here. Should Baitian sacrifice his daughter's life like that? Monica didn't believe it. Tuahai didn't believe it either. He darkened his face. Baitian, what are you doing? I'm dead serious. I'm not kidding. I have decided that Shuryen is mine. He is my decided but not yet pronounced son-in-law. You should stop calculating your chances with him. Otherwise, don't blame me when I turn my back on you all, snorted Baitian. Monica, Tuahai, and the other warriors discolored. The 3 general commanders of the Underworld League also had a secret ranking based on personal competence and forces. Baitian was the strongest. He led the 3 general commanders. Tuahai ranked behind him and Monica was third. In the Underworld League, Baitian's power and force were almost equal to the hegemon. He was just under 1 person, but above the tens of thousands else. His resolution made Tuahai and Monica afraid. They became solemn and gloomy. As Tuahai's and Monica's subordinates saw Baitian being serious about this, they didn't dare to discuss more. It was only because Baitian was so strong, much stronger than their leaders. Thus, even if they didn't want it, they could only press their hatred and resentment down. Congratulations, You've reached the third sky of King God Realm. You did it again. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would never have believed it. Bai Tian turned around, looking at Shi Yan. He also couldn't hide his fear. Listening to him, people were shaken again. They now knew that Shi Yan had reached another level from his second sky of King God Realm. Shi Yan had only the second sky of King God Realm several months ago when he battled Black Horn. Since people kept an eye on him, they all knew that. At that moment, he was able to resist Black Horn at the peak of King God Realm. And today, he was at the third sky of King God Realm. Could he be able to resist the original God Realm warriors? People got frightened. Chapter 855, Face-to-Face Killing. Chapter 855, Face-to-Face Killing. Unfor. The three general commanders of the Underworld League had gathered in the back of the land of God Punishment. They came here for the star map. Shi Yan was sandwiched. He didn't show that he was scared or fluttered. He just looked at Nita with his cold and wicked eyes. Although Monica used her mind power Upanishad, she couldn't enchant Shi Yan. Even after seeing that Bai Tian want to protect him, she couldn't understand Bai Tian's true motive. Bai Tian, what do you want? He isn't from our Underworld League. He gangs up with pirates and has an ambiguous relationship with the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. Do you really want to protect him? Tua Hai's visage was dark and gloom. He was filled with anger. Before coming here, our hegemon has asked us to make the star map our top priority. Anything else shouldn't be a real concern. Do you want to go against what he asked? We must continue trying to take the star map. But I also want to protect Shi Yan. He doesn't have the star map, so it won't conflict. Bai Tian snorted. He seemed to not be afraid of the hegemon of the Underworld League. Ao Guduo and Liu Feng are chasing after Feng Ku on the other side. You can go there. I'm not going to hinder you guys. The pirates are running from the land of God Punishment. Monica's eyes brightened. So we can attack them as we please? We don't need to be afraid of the hermit anymore. That person hasn't attacked yet. I think he only cares about what happens inside the Heaven Punishment City. Once they leave the city, he won't care anymore, nodded Bai Tian. Tua Hai and Monica's looks changed as they listened to Bai Tian. They wanted to join the war on the other side. Nita, I will kill you sooner or later. I will kill you. Sure. Yen suddenly extended his arm, pointing at one of the alchemists. I will let you live longer. If you dare come to the land of God Punishment, expect to meet me here. I won't let you leave alive. Nita's wrinkled face was shaken. She was scared out of her wits. She looked at Tua Hai. Your tone is wildly arrogant. I do want to see you try and kill Nita. Tua Hai snorted and rolled his eyes at Bai Tian, his face dark and harsh. I invited Nita here. If the boy you're protecting wants to act rashly, you shouldn't blame me for not agreeing to your request. I will kill him myself. Bai Tian, you and I are the members of the Underworld League. You won't go against the hegemon for this kid, will you? Monica smiled charmingly, exchanging looks with Tua Hai. They seemed to share a tacit understanding. Being the general commanders of the Underworld League, although Bai Tian was a little stronger than the other two, he still had his own limits. If they fought one-on-one, Bai Tian wasn't afraid of them. But since Tua Hai and Monica were one team, it would be tough to deal with both of them. Seeing Tua Hai and Monica have the same intentions, Bai Tian got a headache. The other reason here was that, until this moment, he couldn't confirm Shi Yan's stance on this yet. He didn't know whether Shi Yan agreed with him or not. If Shi Yan agreed to come to the matrimony with Bai Ro, his daughter, he could fight the other two to protect him at any cost. But if Shi Yan didn't want it, then he would be protecting the kid for no reward. People would laugh at his face, wouldn't they? It's my business. I will handle it on my own. I won't disturb you, Master Bai Tian. Shi Yan beamed a faint smile, then said calmly, Thank you for helping me, Precursor Bai Tian. However, I am not planning to get married for the time being. Please pardon me. Bai Tian frowned. SSSSSS. All of a sudden, a strange silver flame ignited on Shi Yan's fingertip. A lightning strike struck across space. A narrow space slit appeared in front of him with dazzling 5-colored light sparkling inside. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The ear-piercing hissing echoed in the crowd. The dreadful scream was like the crying of ghosts. It was part of the intent domain that could enchant people. Not good. Monica's pupils shrank. She couldn't help but yell, her eyes gazing at Nita's direction. Tua Hai also realized something. His face changed as he gathered his energy. Swish! A pale light flashed at Nita's neck. Blood spurted from the cut in her wrinkled back. Boom, boom. 2 more white gusts flashed. Nita's head and heart exploded instantly. Her soul altar and god body were also destroyed by 3 pale lights shortly after that. Blood showered like rain. The master of the 6th herbal star, the divine grade alchemist of the Underworld League, had been killed abruptly. She didn't even have a chance to defend herself. Usually, alchemists weren't good at fighting, especially when facing a ruthless and strange warrior like Shi Yan. Nita perished shortly after, as the 3 bone thorns added with space power had destroyed her god body and soul altar. Although they had the 2nd sky of original god realm, Tua Hai and Monica didn't have enough time to prepare. When they found that something was wrong, Nita was already dead. There was no chance to save her. She almost killed me that year. I killed her today to take my revenge, Shi Yan shouted. While he was still talking, he jumped into a space slit. Tua Hai and Monica immediately used their powers. However, when they finally mobilized their energy, Shi Yan disappeared into the space slit. His aura vanished into thin air. That space slit closed slowly, leaving no trace. The hustle and bustle of the place became so quiet that people would have been able to hear the sound of needles dropping. A 3rd sky of King God Realm had killed Nita in front of the 3 general commanders of the Underworld League. He killed Nita and escaped with ease. People sank into an insane fear. They couldn't react. He feared nothing, deliberately performing his deed and running away easily in front of so many people. This subdued everyone completely. At this moment, people suddenly realized that what Tua Hai and Monica had said was a joke. The 2 of them wanted to suppress Bai Tian and seize that chance to deal with Shi Yan. In their eyes, Shi Yan could never create any threat. They thought that, especially in this circumstance, Bai Tian would be the troublemaker. However, Shi Yan killed Nita in front of them before they could react. Then he used the space slit to escape instantly. Simply put, Shi Yan didn't care about them at all. What was that about having a profound realm? I wouldn't fight you face to face and hide if our realms were more similar. When our realms are the same, I will come back to slaughter you. What will you do then? Tua Hai and Monica grimaced. This was naked humiliation. I think. He doesn't need my protection. What do you say? Bai Tian was also surprised. Then he forced a smile, shaking his head and exclaiming secretly. Nita's corpse had no beam of life aura. It fell in the bloody puddle not far from Tua Hai. Tua Hai was at the 2nd sky of original God Realm, but he couldn't react timely because Shi Yan had fooled him by saying he wouldn't let Nita leave the land of God punishment alive. He said that he would kill her sooner or later. Sooner or later, sooner or later. Tua Hai didn't recognize that Shi Yan's sooner or later means a moment later. He didn't take Shi Yan's feature of taking revenge for the smallest grudge or his bizarre space power into account. Thus, he didn't do anything to protect Nita. When Shi Yan activated his space power and maneuvered the bone thorns, Tua Hai couldn't do anything to stop them, which contributed to Nita's death. He's tougher than before. I believe that if we meet him a second time, perhaps he will no longer be your rival. However, if he wants to leave, you guys can't stop him, said Bai Tian after contemplating for a while. I'm going to the war on the other side of the land of God punishment. What about you? You're familiar with this area. We will follow you. Monica wore a bitter face. This was the first time she tasted failure. However, deep inside her heart, she was really interested in Shiryan. The sweet words she had told were just her usual tricks. It wasn't different for different guys. She actually didn't want to put them in her heart. However, facing an obstacle this time, her interest was aroused. She thought that the land of God punishment would be a fun place this time. All right, follow me. With you here, the possibility to get the star map increased. Bai Tian took a deep breath and flew toward the main front of the land of God punishment. Another remote corner of the land of God punishment. A space slit cracked in the voice, and sure, Yin got out from that slit. His improved realm, his unceasingly increasing energy, and his understanding of space power Upanishad allowed him to gain a deeper knowledge of his powers. Tearing the void to build a short space passage wasn't a hard task for him now. Having this magical escaping trick, he believed that even if he couldn't use his powers to resist the strong experts, he could still attempt to flee away deliberately. As long as his space power wasn't restrained, he could always tear space to create space passages that could cross billions of miles in a blink. Protruding from the space slit, Shiryan lifted up his head to watch the galaxy above his head where the battle was furious. Aogu duos and the Yufeng's teams were chasing after the pirates. Shiryan knew Bai Tian, Monica, and Tuahai would arrive shortly and join this war. His soul altar flickered. He navigated and grinned before flying toward a forbidden land. There were so many forbidden lands outside the land of God punishment. The forbidden lands were also star areas with hidden dangers. Some had disorderly energy. Some had so many barriers and restrictions that even the original God realm warriors couldn't get through. The pirates took risks and flew out of the land of God punishment because they were confident of their understanding of the situations of the forbidden lands. Shiryan had a beam of Ka Tuo's original soul in his God soul. As soon as his thought flickered, he could use that original soul to connect and trace down Ka Tuo. Following that connection, he maneuvered, crossing the group of people fighting each other. His figure moved further, leaving the land of God punishment, flying toward the forbidden land where Ka Tuo was hiding. Space energy fluctuated clearly wherever he passed by. His god body swayed between the space slits. He looked relaxed, but he was actually moving faster than lightning. This was the unique moving method of warriors who cultivated space power. Also, it was acknowledged as the fastest moving method among the other powers. Not long afterward, he entered a layer of thick white mist. He accelerated, and his vision suddenly brightened as he had entered Ka Tuo's forbidden land. Chapter 856 The Wondrous Forbidden Land. Chapter 856 The Wondrous Forbidden Land. Underscore. This forbidden land looked wondrous. It had mountains, lakes, ponds, ruins of palaces, and withered dried trees and foliage. However, everything was floating in the gloomy air. Shiryan couldn't see the sun, moon, or stars. Perhaps the thick mist layer hindered him from viewing them at all. Sure, Yen saw 3 massive mountains in the star area in front of him. They were cut flat, floating in the void. There were some ruins of shabby and tattered palaces. There was no life energy fluctuation on these mountains. There were only some gray, withered trees and bushes. The 3 massive mountains looked more like 3 whole continents. Behind them was an immense ocean, which also floated in the air. Some islets were scattered here and there in the ocean. The area further behind the small islands were shrouded in gray mist. Sure, Yen couldn't see what was there. Whether it was the grand mountain, the vast sea, or the void, barriers, were set up that restricted and protected the areas. Some were natural, but others had the touch of humans. Shi Yan stood behind a mountain and watched the scenery, his face solemn. It was because he could feel a formidable energy in the ravines between the three big mountains. It seemed like an invisible barrier existed. Anyway, Katuo's aura was reported from one of the islets in the ocean behind the mountains. Frowning, Shi Yan didn't linger any longer. He flew toward the ravines behind the three mountains. Boom, boom, boom. Countless lightning strikes shot out from the sky, weaving into a thick mesh of electronic nets. The thunder boomed ear-piercingly, continually exploding. Countless electricity strikes like snakes and barriers entangled, as if they wanted to crush his god body shortly. Get out here. Slightly discolored, Shi Yan sent a flow of his soul consciousness into the heaven flame soul altar. The world-extinguishing thunder flame flashed, releasing the fierce lightning magnetic field in front of Shi Yan's chest. Lightning strikes covered the sky, but the world-extinguishing thunder flame guided them, changing their directions. They went past Shi Yan, shooting to a place far behind his back. What's going on? Shi Yan asked the world-extinguishing thunder flame. The natural earth and heaven magnetic field here is influenced by an intent domain and remnant of unknown energy. I can't absorb them. I can only deviate them. The world-extinguishing thunder flame seemed to be shaken. It continued with regret. It's a pity that the lightning has so many dregs. Otherwise, I would be able to absorb them. If I can take them in, I can ascend one level. It's so unfortunate, really. Okay, control the lightning strikes. I want to get through this place. Sending his thoughts and looking at the world-extinguishing thunder flame release his unique aura to deviate the lightning strikes attacking him, Shi Yan immediately jumped into the lightning net, gliding through the gorge between the mountains. Boom, boom, boom. Another horrifying tremor appeared near him. A purple lightning strike struck from the sky. When it was about to reach his head, it missed and struck the place behind him. That purple lightning wasn't similar to the lightning he had survived from the beginning. It aimed at his soul altar. It seemed like the lightning was specialized in breaking God's soul. At the moment the purple lightning appeared, Shi Yan's god soul trembled anxiously. So scary. The world-extinguishing thunder flame was also scared. That lightning strike is the soul-destroying one. Any life with soul consciousness will become its target if it comes near. You're lucky that you have me. Otherwise, your god soul wouldn't be able to resist it. It could burn your god soul directly. Listening to him, Shi Yan's face got colder, and he felt a chill all over his body. It was true that the Forbidden Lands and the land of God punishment had layers upon layers of dangers. It wasn't a surprise as to why the three big forces couldn't clean up the pirates. Quite the contrary, they had to bear great losses. The pirates stood for so many years. Besides Fey Land's protection in the heaven punishment, they had depended on countless barriers and restrictions around the place to survive. They were familiar with those forbidden areas. After years of exploring, they knew the characteristics of those places and made them their shelters. The three big forces were not used to these places. If they made even a mistake, the magical power of the Forbidden Lands could kill even original God Realm experts. This was also the reason why many madmen and thugs in the Raging Flamestar area would come to the land of God punishment after committing so many crimes. As long as they hid in those restricted areas, others wouldn't be able to use soul consciousness to sense them. Entering those places was like joining a vast maze. Besides just being unable to finding their target, they would end up caught within some barrier for a long time. It wasn't worth it. Be careful. This place is really strange. Man-made and natural barriers are everywhere. If you fell in there, I can help you with lightning power. But if it's another kind of power, even if I want to help you, I can't do anything, reminded the world-extinguishing thunderflame. After landing on Shi Yan's heaven flame soul altar, this flame had settled down. It became content with his lot as he had received many benefits from Shi Yan. It didn't yell or scream to ask it to leave anymore. Through Shi Yan's soul care, it had many good benefits. The energy overflowing when Shi Yan devoured the soul altar had given the heaven flames many good benefits. Some of them had reached the next level. Going with Shi Yan, it didn't need to worry about being absorbed. It could also have the chance to use Shi Yan's energy to improve and ascend to another high level. What else should it make a fuss about? As it had no knot in his soul, the world-extinguishing thunder flame considered the heaven flame soul altar its dwelling place. Naturally, it would assist Shi Yan honestly, as it didn't want to see the man encountering bad situations. Okay, I know what to do. Shi Yan nodded, sending his thoughts to the flame. After he had glided through the lightning net, he let the world-extinguishing thunder flame return to the heaven flame soul altar. Crossing 3 big mountains, Shi Yan came to a vast sea. He watched the islands and islets hover in the sea in front of him. The sea was floating in the air while the small islands were moving in the sea. Looking at them, Shi Yan suddenly thought that he had just returned to the endless sea. He had a vague nostalgia. However, when he thought this, a magical grief intent domain arose instantaneously from behind a mountain and ran directly into his soul altar, flooding his sea of consciousness and sinking him into sorrow. His strong will power became soft. His ability to move his body became stagnant. He felt so tired that he wanted to rest here and never move again. An extremely cold current poured onto his body from his head, flooding his sea of consciousness. The icy cold feeling arose from the bottom of his heart, waking his failed will. He looked at the mountain behind him with fright. Divine light sparkled in his eyes as he looked at a ruin of a palace on that mountain. He found a broken, massive formation. The sorrowful intent domain came from that shabby formation, affecting his will and mind. He suddenly felt an unknown fear towards the forbidden lands of the land of God punishment. It wasn't 15 minutes since he had arrived here, and he had almost lost his mind already. It was very frightening. It wasn't luck that the pirates were able to remain firm for tens of thousands of years in the raging flame star area. The forbidden lands were their valuable resources to fight the 3 big forces. If Fengku's pirates could find a new star area with a star map, collect countless kinds of materials in huge quantities and around 10 more life stars, it was possible that those forbidden lands would become Fengku's pirates' natural defense. So even if the 3 big forces sent more hotshots, if they weren't familiar with the dangers of the perilous forbidden lands, they would be killed or damaged badly. They would no longer be threats to the pirates anymore. Developing ideas from this, Shi Yan believed that the pirates could use the new star area to improve themselves and become the strongest force of the raging flame star area. Then, they wouldn't be afraid of the 3 big forces anymore. Taking a deep breath, Shi Yan pressed down the idea of changing his direction to sense the ruined formation with the nostalgia intent domain. He continued to move towards the islet in front of him, his god soul targeted and focused on Ka Tuo's location. That grief intent domain could be the generated from the power Upanishad of a deceased warrior. While he had heard about it before, he had never encountered one. Shi Yan was curious. To a warrior with a profound realm, when his god body and soul altar were destroyed, it was possible to transform his god domain. At that time, his power Upanishad could be preserved in the form of an intent domain. If someone with the same power Upanishad as him came, he could find the area where the late warrior was buried and learn his intent domain to refine and upgrade his power Upanishad. Understanding the power, furthermore, would allow him to break through soon. However, none of Shi Yan's powers Upanishad could combine with this grief power Upanishad. So he didn't change his journey to come and learn. While flying towards the sea in front of him, Shi Yan understood something, his eyes sparkling with strange light. He suddenly recognized that the barriers protecting the forbidden lands around the land of God punishment hid many big secrets. This place consisted of shattered mountains, abandoned lakes, ruins of palaces, intent domain generated by God domain of deceased warriors, man-made and natural barriers. This place shouldn't be remote and isolated. It should be a busy place packed with experts. With this thought, Shi Yan observed the forbidden land again. Seeing the many strange things and their statuses, he had an answer for himself. A long, long time ago, those mountains, lakes, and ruins should have belonged to one or more continents. After the continents exploded, the fragments created the current scenery. There should have been many experts who could build barriers and restrictions on the continents. When the continents exploded, the barriers and restricted were also fragmented and scattered in the immense starry sky of the land of God punishment. The continents that exploded with its many mountains, lakes, and palaces were protected by barriers, an intent domain created by God domain of the deceased experts. Which level was this life star before it got burst apart? How prosperous and luxurious did it used to be? How many mysterious experts did it used to have? Shi Yan frowned as he asked himself these questions. He was amazed. He suddenly felt that he would encounter many magical things in the forbidden lands of the land of God punishment. Chapter 857. I think I can destroy you now. Chapter 857. I think I can destroy you now. It was much smoother entering the sea. Sure, Yan didn't encounter any enemies. He continued to fly quickly. After an hour, he landed on an islet. The land of this islet had dark brown soil. Giant, withered trees were everywhere. The terrain was rough with many deep cracks. Situated in the middle of the islet was a relatively flat area. Tuo's tiger shark war chariots were parked there. Shi Yan arrived, releasing his soul consciousness. Tuo felt his presence immediately. Senior. Tuo raised his voice and called for Shi Yan from a tiger shark chariot. There were more than 10 war chariots parked there. The crews were all part of Tuo's entourage. Most of them were warriors at the King God realm and True God realm. They were not exactly the most capable warriors. More than 200 warriors under Tuo's commands curiously watched Shi Yan. They all stared at him as they had always wondered how the prodigy, whose fame had accelerated in the Heaven Punishment City, looked like. Tuo and Fu welcomed him happily. How did you get here? I sense the movement of your power Upanishad. Shi Yan fabricated an excuse. He landed next to Tuo, observing his warriors and smiling. They are your brothers, right? Tuo nodded, his face embarrassed. Among the pirates around the land of God punishment, I'm not really strong. I don't have many members in my organization. Not many of them have a profound realm. It's shameful, really. When a leader was under the original God realm, it would be hard to recruit high realm warriors. Tuo was one level lower than Barrett, Jianong, and Russell. Among the other third sky of King God realm leaders, he was only a little more famous. Strong experts like Foam had around 1,000 subordinates. Most of them were at the King God realm. It was rare to see true God realm warriors in their crews. And because Tuo had only the third sky of King God realm cultivation base, his crew consisted of many true God realm warriors. Naturally, his force consisted of weaker soldiers than that of Foam, Ku, and Barrett. It won't be like this in the future. I believe in your competence. As soon as you break into the original God realm, your force will leap and surpass the forces of Barrett, Jianong, and Russell, consoled Shi Yan. Yeah, I think I'm about to surpass the bottleneck. My God soul had strange fluctuations recently. I think I just need a marvelous encounter to cross that threshold, said Tuo excitedly. Having the complete power Upanishad inheritance, Tuo had been wholeheartedly cultivating lately. He did make some progress. He was at the peak of King God realm. When his power Upanishad enhanced, it was natural to advance soon after. However, the chance to break through was hard to meet. Rarely, it was just a step away so that the warrior could break through almost instantly. But most of the time, it came very slowly and could take 100 years. When we got out of the Heaven Punishment City, Baitian of the Underworld League chased after us. Most of the people who came with us were killed, but Baitian spared us. He asked me to send his regard to you. Ka Tua suddenly remembered this event and asked Sher Yen suspiciously, "Do you have any relationship with Baitian?" "Oh, yeah, just consider it like that. I didn't expect that man to care. Okay, I remember it." Sher Yen was surprised. Sure, Yen didn't expect that Baitian would show him his goodwill that way. To recruit Sher Yen, he didn't just agree to let his daughter marry him. He also gave him face. For Sher Yen, he had spared Ka Tuo's crew. Although this man wasn't as strong as the hegemon of the Underworld League, his schemeful and clever nature made him a powerful person that should never be underestimated. "I broke through the new realm," Sher Yen pondered for a while, then grinned. With his understanding of star power Upanishad, he broke the chrysalis and condensed many drops of immortal demon blood. He was near the moment of replacing his blood with the immortal demon blood. Entering the third sky of King God realm, his god body had refined the second time and reached a level he never imagined of achieving. In the moment of his breakthrough, he felt his immortal martial spirit and the petrification martial spirit undergo a complex transformation. He believed that his body was super strong with a marvelous recovery ability. He was capable of using powers to resist any expert at the first sky of original God realm. Using his powers to release 3 powers Upanishad would allow his fighting competence to leap to a formidable level. Ka Tua and Ka Fu's eyes brightened. "I think that if I meet Barrett and I have to risk my life by fighting him, the one who has to run for his life won't be me," said Sher Yen affirmatively. Ka Tua and Ka Fu were very happy. "Where will you meet Feng Ko?" "It's a little further away from this place. It's also a forbidden land. It's more dangerous than this place. People who don't know that place, but attempt to intrude, can hardly get out alive. Our pirates had to pay a lot of lives to explore that area. What happened to the barriers and restrictions in this area? Why do I have a feeling that they are fragments of an ancient continent? Is it true that the land of God punishment used to have many stars around? A life star, perhaps? Senior, how did you know that?" "I guessed. Although those mountains, lakes, and islands are detached, they used to belong to a star. There are rumors about it. Just like what you said, the area around the land of God punishment used to be bustling. It had a tremendously massive life star at a pretty high level. It had invincible experts that guarded the area. However, it is unknown why it exploded. The lands on the life star were detached, creating many fragments that hovered around the land of God punishment. Many warriors died. Many secrets were buried. Many mysterious areas are vast lands that float around the land of God punishment. The pirates haven't explored all of them," explained Ka. "Sure," Yen listened to him and nodded. "I see. We should go to the gathering point to meet Feng Ko. Brother, come with me. I know this place." "We won't be in danger," said Ka Tua smilingly. "Okay." Then Sher Yen, Ka Tua, and Ka Fu sat in the same war chariot. They moved quickly, crossing the immense ocean and gliding above many islets. After a while, they entered a thick, misty area with the wind howling violently, which implied some invisible dangers. Ka Tua knew this place well. His tiger shark war chariot maneuvered around, not moving in a straight direction. The war chariots seemed like it was dodging all the hidden dangers. They had crossed the foggy area safely. They now entered another forbidden area. In this area, Sher Yen couldn't do anything to help them. He was also lazy to put in some effort, so he let Ka Tua arrange everything. After 5 days of flying, they had crossed many perilous areas with thick barriers and restrictions to land on another forbidden area, where they had planned to meet up with Feng Ku. It was a floating mountain range covered by a furious thunderstorm. This kind of natural energy had the potential to kill everything that passed through. When Shi Yan's team arrived, they saw many battleships and war chariots harbored inside the mountain range. They saw the pirate flags of Russell and Barrett together with some smaller forces. However, they didn't know why Feng Ku and Jianong weren't there yet. The Tiger Shark War chariots found their parking places. Not long afterward, Shi Yan saw Barrett, Russell, and Jester the Alchemist. These three original God Realm experts were discussing something. Seeing him, they frowned and approached. Barrett wore a dark expression. Seeing Shi Yan, his anger rose immediately. He shouted, "Boy, why are you here? Are you a pirate? What right do you have to come here?" Black Horn and some other third sky of King God Realm arrived. They were equipped with heavy armor. Murderous intentions arose as they grinned fiendishly. Shi Yan was cold and calm, looking at Barrett's team. He said oddly, "I brought the star map to the Heaven Punishment City. If we are talking about what rights I have who can properly judge, then I can't join this expedition. Haha, without my star map, you guys wouldn't even have the chance to be in this position." Barrett snorted. "Kid, you have someone in the Heaven Punishment City looking after your back. In this place, let's see who dares to stop me from killing you." "You want to kill me?" Shi Yan laughed maniacally. Barrett. "Since you couldn't kill me in the Heaven Punishment City last time, you're never going to have that chance for the rest of your life. I'm here. Let's see who will die first." As soon as he finished, a bloodthirsty and ruthless aura shot out from behind his head. He used the dead Upanishad to expand the god domain. Negative moods swarmed over like the crying and wailing of ghosts. Emotions of cruelty, desperation, craziness, and hatred gushed out as if they wanted to destroy the fighting will of everybody. Inside the god domain, Shi Yan's face was still cold and calm. His eyes sparkled brutally as he said, "Barrett, try to defeat me." Third sky of King God Realm. Russell and Jester acclaimed in unison. "Hey, Barrett, you should stop for now. It's not that I don't appreciate your effort. I just don't think that you can kill him." Russell was astounded for a moment. He beamed a forced smile, trying to advise Barrett, "Don't mess up. It's not worth it if both of you guys got hurt. You guys are fighting over just a woman. Don't risk your lives. Moreover, Feng Rao has given her decision. You lost the game. Let it go. You can't kill him." Jester also stopped him. Right when Shi Yan released his power, Katua, Kafu, and their men came closer and put up guard against the experts of Barrett's crew. More pirates from other organizations gathered and advised Barrett not to take action. "Do you think that you can resist me at the original God Realm just because you got the third sky of King God Realm?" Barrett was hot-tempered. Flames burst out of his body, floating in the air. A sea of fire was formed behind him as he walked toward Shi Yan. "It's not just resisting." Shi Yan looked at him seriously, shaking his head. I can destroy you." Everybody else discolored. Barrett halted his steps. Right at this moment, Shi Yan suddenly stormed over. He took action first. His hands tore the void, and starlight ribbons bloomed out. It created a massive, glorious sword with stars moving on its blade that hid the mysteries of the infinite sky. Hisses! At the moment the massive starlight was formed, the ear-piercing noise of hissing also arose. The shock waves struck people's eardrums, but they didn't know the locations of the 3 bone thorns. Chapter 858 Inextinguishable Starlight. Chapter 858 Inextinguishable Starlight _ The glorious, starry sky hid the mysteries of stars moving on that starlight sword. "Star, dots twinkled dazzlingly. Sizzle, sizzle. The giant starlight sword sprinkled starlight everywhere in the sky. It seemed like the sword was carrying the entire galaxy in it. Countless stars were moving, creating a blinding starry sea that shrouded Barrett. Chains flew out from Sher Yan's fingers. They looked like they were made of stars with the marvelous restraining power of the star intent domain. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The grating sounds of the three-bone thorns continued to tear at the wind. They drew 3 space slits that naked eyes couldn't see. These slits surrounded Barrett. Starlight shot out from Sher Yan's pupils. He seemed to become an unbreakable star that couldn't be broken in outer space. The unyielding willpower and energy of his realm were emitted. Many pirates were frightened. At the moment Sher Yan released his powers, they suddenly felt that the land was tiny compared to the inextinguishable starry sky. Nobody dared to interfere. The original God Realm warriors like Russell and Jester backed off instinctively. They were making room for the battle between Sher Yan and Barrett. Barrett's subordinates didn't join the battle. They seemed to know that Sher Yan wasn't someone they could bully now. Blackhorn also looked at his people, signaling them to step back and warning them to not act rashly. On Ka-Tuo's side, seeing Blackhorn signaling his pirates, they also backed off. They left around 100 mu of land as the arena for Sher Yan and Barrett's fight. Boom, boom, boom. Barrett's god body echoed explosions. He was enlarging and reddening. Orange-red smoke and fire fumed from his pores, creating a sea of fire. Barrett's soul altar-spun. His power, Upanishad, created the god domain. His soul consciousness attached to each fire cluster. Those clusters became the clones of his power Upanishad, carrying the essence of fire. They continually condensed in the fire sea, creating hundreds of giant fireballs. The fireballs moved scorchingly, drying up the ground of the land and even burning them. Dried ancient trees caught on fire, which made the fire more intense. Burn! Barrett screamed crazily. Massive fireballs shot into the sky. Those fireballs had been condensed to the acme. People could catch a glimpse of Barrett's face on those fireballs. The fire burned and melted like a terrifying burning fluid. The giant starlight slashed down on the sky, falling into the fire sea. It looked like a meteor that had fallen into a pond of magma. Star dots were sent up back to the sky together with the burning sparks. 2 different powers moved quickly and collided. Energy resisted energy, filling Barrett's fire god domain with starlight. Giant fireballs revolved quickly, making the fire as dazzling as the sun. 3 space cracks crossed the sky like ribbons. They moved to and fro in the air, like lightsabers that could cut through everything. The fire sea created by Barrett's god domain was cut into 3 different sections by the 3 bone thorns. Barrett floated in the center of those 3 slices of fire sea. The fire burned vigorously around his body, while his soul altar spun wildly. He urged a bright white flame from nowhere, coating himself with his flames, looking almost as if he was made of those fluids. He opened his mouth to breathe furious flames and torrential smoke. Flaming suns with Barrett's face turned into a dazzling white, a sign of the boiling temperature. These flames had covered 100 miles around them. The land dried up and cracked. Inflammable matters all burned. This area turned into a flaming hell that could melt the body and will of any creature. Someone at the King God realm can't compare to an expert who has the original soul. Kid, today I will show you that even if you've had a breakthrough, only death awaits you. Barrett roared in the furious sea of fire like an enraged, flaming beast. He released the blazing energy, bombarding Sher Yan with massive fireballs. Boom! Sher Yan's vortex in his lower abdomen released a tremor. Shortly after, a sparkling star as big as a fist flew out. When the star flew out, countless beams of starlight condensed. Instantaneously, the star enlarged as big as a pan. It was glorious and crystal clear, making it pleasant to watch. It was the most exquisite thing that even the most dedicated blacksmith in this world couldn't refine. It was a star nucleus, a real one. Billions of star dots moved dazzlingly, blinding many warriors. It contained the inextinguishable star intent domain. It burst out in accordance with the star's trajectory in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. When the flaming suns created by Barrett collided with the star, they bounced back, sending numerous sparks in the air. When those sparks fell, they exploded, creating small holes in the ground. The star shot out from the nebula in Sher Yan's vortex spun, moving so fast that nothing could stand in its way. Any flaming sun that barged into the star exploded instantly. Fire sparks bloomed in the sky. An eternal star intent domain arose in that star. It seemed to be able to enter the opponent's sea of consciousness and baffle the mind, generating a hopeless feeling that people couldn't resist. Three bone thorns continued to roar and hiss. They hid and flashed like devilish tentacles that people couldn't track down. At the moment the bone thorns appeared, space slits would follow closely. Barrett couldn't dodge their attacks. Space blades were able to cut through tangible bodies. Their existences could be compared to a sharp divine weapon. Although Barrett had the god body of an original god realm warrior, he couldn't continue dodging. He had to find a solution to disarm them. If Sher Yan's realm was not lower than Barrett, then he wouldn't have been able to use his god soul to lock Barrett's soul altar. Barrett would have been put in a worse situation. The three bone thorns would chase after him like his shadows, making him unable to counterattack. Anyway, even if Sher Yan had broken through to a new level, he was still a king god realm warrior. With a realm apart, the lower realm god's soul couldn't lock the original soul. He could only use Barrett's body that was visible to control the bone thorn after the target. Sher Yan's pupils shrank. His face became harsh and ruthless. He had no emotion in his face now. He switched his power Upanishad. The magical power that could confine even space was urged. From his hands, a wave of energy created by space power flooded Barrett's sea of flames. The massive fireballs and the dancing fire that sent furious flames into the sky halted when Sher Yan pointed at them. Also at that moment, the giant starlight slashed down from the void. Billions of star dots showered over Barrett. Boom, boom, boom. Barrett's god body sounded like exploding firecrackers. The star dots fell on him and pierced through his body like sharp weapons. H felt pain all over his body. Barrett's soul altar struggled to free itself. His eyes contacted the scorching flames, triggering his stagnant god domain. He faced the sky and roared indignantly. A dazzling fireball spurted out from his mouth. That bright fireball carried Barrett's original god thought with the subtle comprehension of fire Upanishad that he had accumulated for so many years. The fireball rolled, crushing the star dots. It brought an unimaginable firepower, colliding with the glorious starlight cluster. Boom! The shock wave was like an avalanche. Dazzling beams of light shot quickly while the shock wave expanded. Earth and mountains around several hundred miles away were shaken. The ground seemed to bear so much pressure it popped and exploded continually. Lava rolled from deep underground, congregating at the fireball. The blazing ball moved faster to attack Sher Yan's god body. The star that flew out of Sher Yan's nebula, which had his soul consciousness, burned. The star floated quietly in the sea of fire. Sher Yan had lost his connection with it. This blinding fireball seemed to be Barrett's strongest attack. With a closer look, people could see Barrett's soul inside that fireball with a virtual soul altar as its source of power. The fireball gathered and condensed the lava from underground. It moved with the intent domain that could burn down the entire world. Sher Yan suddenly closed his eyes. At the most critical moment, He looked calm as the aura around him suddenly decreased. He stretched his arm. Space power shot out from his fingers. He tore space forcefully. Swish! The high sky was torn apart, making a 1,000-meter space crack. 5 colored light shot in that crack. As the bright fireball was moving at breakneck speed, it couldn't be retrieved when facing Shurian's strike. It barged into the space slit and disappeared. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The terrifying explosions echoed in the sky. The void above people's head rippled with shock waves. The entire sky turned into a red hue. It looked like the high sky was trying to restrain a beast. Strange phenomena happened in the sky. Flames scattered everywhere. Shurian suddenly opened his eyes, his soul altar swaying slightly. The halted star seemed to trigger again. It shot out like a meteor, hitting Barrett in his chest. Barrett paled immediately. Boom! Barrett felt like a 10,000 Zhangtal mountain had struck him. He was blown backward, crushing many mountain ranges, flying hundreds of miles before he could stop by another mountain range. The mountains then collapsed and buried him. The space slit above his head slowly closed. His thoughts flickered for the second time. The star spun, floating above his head as if it was his own star. Swish, swish, swish. The 3 bone thorns returned, hovering by him quietly. They still sparkled with the sharp space light. Shurian took a deep breath and calmly walked toward Barrett. His eyes showed no emotions, as if he was death routinely harvesting lives. Several thousand pirates were petrified. They looked at him with great respect and said nothing. Blackhorn was anxious. He was worrying about Barrett. He instinctively gathered his energy, trying to interfere this battle. Stop it! All of a sudden, Fong's shout came from a far distance away from them. When his voice hadn't finished yet, a lightning strike crossed over. Fong appeared in the void above Barrett. He solemnly looked at the collapsed mountain underneath. Shurian came to this place, frowning and observing the ruins. He said coldly, "Get out." Boom! A giant rock exploded. Barrett panted, his body red and his face ferocious. His chest and neck were bleeding. "Shurian, don't hit him. Give me face," said Feng Ku in a low tone. Chapter 859. Intent Domain Field. Chapter 859. Intent Domain Field _ Don't kill him. Give me face. Feng Ku looked at him, his face complicated. He didn't have his normal look. Feng Ku was at the second sky of Original God Realm, the most powerful leader of the pirates, the strongest expert in the land of God punishment. Today he asked Shurian to stop. However, it was not a forceful threat. Instead, he asked in a more negotiable manner. He asked Shurian to stop and give him face. This was because he realized that Shurian at the third sky of King God Realm could defeat Barrett. This also meant that Shurian may have the foundations to beat him too. Feng Ku was always moderate in dealing with warriors at the same level. He knew what he should say. A group of pirates included Russell, Jester, and Ka Tua silently gathered. They wore a gloomy face, looking at Shurian with discreet respect. "All right, if you say so, I will give you face, of course." Shurian contemplated for a while, then nodded. "I will let him go today. If Barrett can't figure it out, I won't contain any bit of my power in dealing with him." Everybody shivered. "Barrett, how are you?" Blackhorn stormed to him, his face worried. Boss, my master, how are you? Are you okay?" When Barrett's subordinates arrived, they were so worried. They asked him if he felt all right. However, it was strange that Barrett wasn't foul-mouthed. He frowned, not looking at Feng Ku or Shurian or Blackhorn's team. His eyes looked skeptically at the place he had just been buried in minutes before. Strange light sparkled in his eyes as if something touched his mind. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Explosions echoed unceasingly underground. A large amount of lava and magma gushed out, soaring into the sky like magnificent fire dragons. A willpower that could burn down the whole world was being emitted from the ground, running directly into the warriors' sea of consciousness. Everybody was terrified, looking at the ground under their feet. What's going on? Barrett, this is not the power of your intent domain. You haven't reached such a level. Fonka shouted in a low voice. He seemed to recognize that something marvelous was happening. There's some incredible, undying willpower down there. It's the same type of power as a warrior who cultivates fire. Barrett shivered. After he said that, he immediately jumped into the pile of crushed stone, disappearing directly into the ground. The giant flame dragons rolled violently before bursting out and slithering on the ground. Many low-realm pirates were affected by the flames of those dragons. Their bodies ignited and burned. Shortly after, their god body and soul altar all melted down. Watch out! Fly up! Foam couldn't help but shout. His face showed deep fear. It's the intent domain field. It was created by the god domain of the experts at the High Realm. It will target anyone who doesn't cultivate fire power. Retreat! Hurry! His scream awakened people. They hastened to soar up into the sky. No one dared to stay near the fire dragons. The fierce flames flooded the ground. After 10 seconds, the ground underneath their feet became a magma sea. The willpower that could burn down everything continued to increase in magnitude. Many warriors cultivating fire power, Upanishad, were shaken. They couldn't hide their thrill, letting their god body sink into that magma pond. They closed their eyes, attempting to comprehend something. Barrett's soul energy clearly fluctuated the most. It expanded underground with joy and excitement. It seemed like Barrett was trying to connect to that flame to learn the mysterious features of his fire power Upanishad. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The earth flame and the vermilion bird, true flame, shot out of his soul altar. They didn't even wait for Shur Yen to call them out. They fell to the ground, flashed, and then disappeared. Burble, burble, burble. Scorching magma bubbled. Whenever a bubble popped, it released a flow of hot flames, increasing the temperature of the ground. The flaming dragons patrolled the ground, moving above the magma sea as if it was hunting. Any warrior who didn't cultivate fire power Upanishad would become its target. The dragons would coil around the unfortunate warrior and burn him into ashes. Shur Yen also flew into the air, hovering 1,000 meters above the ground. He observed the scene, his face strange. Your battle has activated some barrier underground. It released undying willpower. The one who died here must have been powerful. Russell took a deep breath, then sighed. The Forbidden Lands are really magical indeed. We've spent so many years exploring them, but we haven't finished yet. I didn't expect that after just a fight, this would happen. It's marvelous indeed. Barrett's lucky, Jester seemed to admire him. After this event of quenching his power Upanishad, I think his comprehension of fire power will reach a new height. Perhaps Barrett could seize this chance to break through to the second sky of original God Realm. His realm is the highest among those warriors, so he will gain the greatest benefit. Fonka nodded before turning to Shur Yen. After he has a breakthrough, he will be stronger. But I can promise you that if he plans to trouble you, I will stop him with all my best efforts. You shouldn't disturb him now. Blackhorn and Barrett's subordinates were watching Shur Yen cautiously. Listening to Fonku, they felt relief and gratitude. While the warrior was comprehending his realm, it was really dangerous if someone disturbed him. If his mind got distracted, it would deviate him on his martial path. It could even disorient his soul altar and prevent equals him from advancing further in the future. In the worst case, his will and power Upanishad would crack, resulting in his death. Thus, when Barrett jumped into the magma sea, his fellows felt very worried. They were afraid that Shi Yan would trouble him at this moment. With Shi Yan's current power and realm, if he wanted to kill Barrett, this would be his best chance. Barrett also knew that it would be dangerous. However, it was a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. If he missed today, he wasn't sure if he would encounter such a good fortune to learn the truth of fire power for the rest of his life. When a powerful warrior fell, there was more than just the death of the god soul. His god domain would also create the intent domain. Once it was activated, it could last for a long time or a relatively short time. But if it disappeared shortly, he would bear this regret for the rest of his life. Although he understood that it would be really risky to seize this chance for his realm advancement, Barrett couldn't control his desires. He didn't think much, directly jumping down there. There were many people like Barrett there. Those who cultivate fire power, Upanishad, didn't hesitate to plunge down into the magma sea to understand the mysteries of their powers. Since their individual realms and learning ability weren't the same, what they could receive was also different. However, the furious dragons didn't hinder the warriors who cultivated fire power. That was why they were all able to harvest something in the magma sea. No one could resist this enticement. His fortune isn't bad indeed, Shi Yan nodded, talking deliberately. Don't worry, I'm not going to commit such a stealthy deed. Even if this opportunity allows Barrett to gain more knowledge of the essence of his fire power, it doesn't mean that he will break through immediately. By the time he gets a breakthrough, will I still be at my current level? I will still be able to easily kill him. Shi Yan had this confidence. If Barrett could break through, would he remain stagnant? With his power and secrets he held, when he had time, his power would rocket limitlessly. When Barrett entered his new realm, Shi Yan may also be at the first sky of original God realm. When that happens, will he be afraid of Barrett? Currently, the three big forces are after us. If Barrett can break through, we will have more support. For the future of the pirates, I will give him time. Even if he surpasses me in the future, I'm not going to be jealous. Feng took a deep breath. We got some trouble. Jie Nong got hurt severely. I'm also bearing great losses. Where's Feng Rao? Is she okay? Shi Yan discolored, asking hurriedly. She's fine. Feng smiled. She is right behind me. I could sense you and Barrett were battling, so I came first. Don't worry. I'm familiar with the Forbidden Lands. If I can't protect my daughter, how dare I try to plot with the star map? It's good if she's all right, Shi Yan calmed down. Whether Jianong is alive or not, it doesn't matter to me. How, right? Who did you guys encounter? Liu Feng of the Li family. Feng Ke's visage was dark and gloomy. How is he? Scary. In the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. He's ranked only behind Fan He. He has the second sky of original God realm cultivation base. Honestly, if I fight him, I'm afraid that I will be a little weaker. Feng shook his head and sighed, his face a little desolate. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce's hotshots are all dangerous. They are at the second sky of original God realm. I haven't broken through in a long time. I haven't had enough time to accumulate power. Sigh. Besides Liu Feng, there is also Ao Gu Duo's team. They are all intimidating warriors. If we weren't familiar with the Forbidden Lands, I'm not sure if we could bear such losses. I got bad news, Shi Yan frowned. What's that? Feng Ku was surprised. Russell and Jester also looked at him worriedly. At this moment, people started to zoom over from a far distance. Several hundred warriors were driving war chariots. Shi Yan. Feng Rao was surprised and happy. She called out to him before she arrived, her voice as delightful as Siskin singing. Shi Yan grinned and spoke when they all gathered. Tua Hai and Monica of the Underworld League have arrived. They have gathered with Bai Tian. They will become the biggest obstacle for us. Listening to him, everybody became gloomy. They suddenly felt that the road ahead was full of dangers and obstacles. By Tion at the second sky of original God realm was already scary. With Tua High and Monica at the same realm, the Underworld League's forces were enough to kill the force consisting of all the leaders of the pirates. If they encountered them, barriers of the Forbidden Lands were negligible. No matter what, the result would be very terrible. We shouldn't encounter them, at least not in the empty areas. Otherwise, we won't be able to resist them. Jianong paled, squeezing a smile. Seems that they became crazy because of the star map. The 3 general commanders came here, personally. The Underworld League does want to take it. I hope Barrett could break through smoothly. We will be more confident then. Yeah, I will navigate the direction again. We will go through the dangerous areas. We need to visit the perilous places. We don't dare come to one more time, said Feng Ke resolutely. Everybody was frightened. Old brother Feng Ke, are you kidding? Russell jerked back. It's impossible to explore many areas of the Forbidden Lands here. Once we intrude there, I don't know how many men we will lose. Impossible? We must go through those areas. Jianong was also frightened. When those pirates knew the dangerous features of those places, they shivered in thrill. It was more frightful than knowing that the flood was coming or the beasts. Those places were extremely dangerous. They were the true burial grounds. If they intruded, they would die. We must go to those places. Feng Ke nodded. With our experience, we can still solve the restrictions and barriers a little bit. Although there will be danger waiting ahead of us, we still have hope. But if the experts of the 3 forces hinder us, we won't have the chance to live. For the future of the pirates, we must accept those dangers. Everybody else quieted down. Chapter 860. Generous Gifts from the Deceased. Chapter 860. Generous Gifts from the Deceased. Under the threat of the 3 powerful forces, Feng Ke's group had to make a difficult decision. The center of the Forbidden Lands was dozens of times more dangerous. There were many areas left to be explored. However, if the pirates risked intruding the lands, they could possibly get themselves killed. However, if they faced the 3 big forces directly, all of them would definitely be terminated. While one option gave them a chance, the other option clearly resulted in death. Feng Ke's team knew what they should do. While they were talking, the flame and magma under their feet seemed to change again. The massive flaming dragons disappeared one by one. 2 fist-sized fireballs were dancing along the magma sea. Whenever they passed by, the surging flames were swallowed up, disappearing shortly after. Shortly after, everybody noticed the commotion underneath. They all looked struck. Feng Rao just smiled. Strange light rippled in her eyes. She knew what those 2 flames were and the reason why that fire sea was disappearing bizarrely. Besides Feng Rao, there was another person who knew Shi Yan's real conditions. It was alchemist Jester. At this moment, Jester was excited. He suddenly recalled something, creeping toward Shi Yan. He then lowered his voice. You agreed to help me refine medicines. I did, Shi Yan smiled. Jester felt relieved. He bent his body slightly to show his gratitude. Don't worry, I won't let your labor be in vain. I will give you a satisfactory payment. Good. Shi Yan was also happy, agreeing with this exchange. People focused on the scorching magma sea underneath. Shortly after, all the flaming dragons had gone away. The 2 flames had engulfed them all. Finally, people noticed the 2 bizarre flames, looking at them strangely. Some knew the 2 flames had flown out from Shi Yan's body. Since they were related to Shi Yan, the others were startled and astounded. This man, how many secrets does he keep? Why can the 2 flames that flew out from his body devour the giant flaming dragons? Not all of the pirates knew about the heaven flames. Thus, although they saw what happened down there, they gawked because they didn't know that the heaven flames could absorb the energy of the same class. Barrett had sunk into the magma and disappeared. They couldn't sense his aura or soul energy. However, the undying willpower was still there the whole time. It covered the 100-square-meter fire sea, rippling unceasingly. Each of the warriors who had jumped down had connected his or her soul altar to that undying flame willpower. They used the god soul to sense carefully while their bodies were shrouded in flames. They were actually unraveling the mysteries of fire power. Shi Yan's two flames moved around, absorbing the flames. Wherever they passed by, the magma sea disappeared little by little. People couldn't help but look at Shi Yan. Feng Ku, Russell, and Jianong were both bewildered and skeptical looking at him. Under their closed eyes, Shi Yan just smiled and explained, "Those two flames of mine have some understanding of fire power. They can take in the refined fire to strengthen themselves. Haha, don't be so surprised. There are other objects besides creatures with an entity that can develop such intellect. Heaven flames. They are heaven flames." Russell's eyebrows twitched. He recalled something, looking at Shi Yan with his bright and sharp eyes. "Yeah, you're right. They are heaven flames," nodded Shi Yan. "Where are you from?" "We don't have heaven flames in the raging flame star area. Only the oldest life stars could have heaven flame. Are you from a higher level star area?" Russell was baffled. Listening to him, everybody seemed to understand. They looked at Shi Yan with more surprise and respect. People all knew that the raging flame star area wasn't the only star area in the vast galaxy. They understood that there should be higher level star areas somewhere in this starry universe. Warriors came from those star areas were always inexplicably mysterious and had unparalleled realms and powers. The three major god realms included the original god realm, the ethereal god realm, and the incipient god realm. In the raging flame star area, the strongest warriors had only the peak of the original god realm. Powers beyond the original god realm had never existed in the raging flame star area. They heard that somewhere deep in the galaxy, there existed experts at the ethereal god realm or incipient god realm. Those characters had the power to destroy a whole life star directly. They could control massive meteorites in the sky and use them to forge their battleships or their hideouts. The existences at that level were just legends that had spread in the raging flame star area. No one had ever met them. And Shi Yan, the boy of unknown origin, had risen the tide when he had just arrived in the raging flame star area. He had shown people that he was capable of battling warriors whose realms were higher than his. He had turned people's knowledge of powers Upanishad upside down. Originally, they didn't know how such miracles could happen. However, when relating all these things to a higher level star area, everything seemed to be more logical. If someone from a higher level star area didn't have any extraordinary features, it would have been strange. People became excited as they thought that they had finally grasped the truth. "It turns out you're from a higher level star area with better life stars." "It sounds logical." Jester expressed his opinion first. "No wonder," nodded Russell. "What is strange in the high level star area where you used to live? Can you tell us?" Jianong asked with a longing face. "Tell us then." Feng Ku was also interested in this. With longing eyes, he looked at Shi Yan. People became excited. All looked at him, waiting. "Your inference is wrong," Shi Yan sighed under their gazes. "The life star where I come from doesn't have many special features compared to this place. Quite the contrary, actually. Its energy cycle will come to an end soon. Earth and heaven energy are almost dried up there. That's why I come to the raging flame star area to find a way out for my family and friends in my hometown. In the next 200 years max, my hometown won't have any bit of earth and heaven energy. We won't have any new warriors, and the warriors of the previous generations won't have a chance to advance their powers furthermore." Sigh. Everybody was surprised. "What realm does the strongest warrior in your hometown have?" asked Feng Ku. "Ah, the third sky of true god realm. We don't have any king god realm warrior. It seems like we had stronger existences tens of thousands of years ago when the energy was still abundant. However, they were gone for a long time, said Shuryen. Ah. Feng Ku was surprised, as though he couldn't believe it. After Yen had arrived in the raging flame star area, he had continually advanced. His realm upgraded extraordinarily quick. He had surpassed any prodigy of the raging flame star area. Is that all what he, a warrior with endless potential, had back there? They couldn't imagine it. The reason why I wanted to explore the star map was to find hope for my family and friends in my hometown. Shuryen took a deep breath, his face appearing solemn. Don't worry. As long as the new star area has some life stars, I, Feng Ku, hereby promise that you will have your share. Feng Ku promised him immediately. You deserve it. Thank you. Many pirates changed their attitude towards Shuryen after this talk. They respected him honestly. For the hope of his fellows, he had come to the raging flame star area alone, depending only on himself to find a shelter for his friends and relatives. This kind of stubbornness and persistence had touched the heart of many people. Everybody calmed down. They now looked at Shuryen with a new attitude. They asked themselves if their hometown had such a disaster. Would they have the guts to go to another star area to give hope to their family or friends? It's almost done, Jester suddenly yelled. Everybody stooped and observed. The fire sea, shrouding an area of 100 square miles, lost much of its fire while they talked. The ground was revealed gradually. The undying willpower seemed to emerge silently from the ground. Something's coming up. Oh, right. What is it? People could feel something. They focused and observed the scene underneath. A scorching skull emerged from a crack in the ground. It looked like heated iron, releasing the blazing light. A wisp of fire willpower emitted from that flaming skull with clear energy fluctuations. Barrett also emerged. He floated by the flaming skull. There were 10 warriors cultivating fire power Upanishad in total. They all kowtowed to that skull as if they were worshipping it with respect from the bottom of their hearts. Gradually, that undying willpower divided into many wisps of subtle energy and scattered as if it had finished its work of imparting the inheritance. Barrett, the earth flame, and the vermilion bird true flame absorbed the light emitted from the flaming skull, carrying their last absorption. When each of the warriors received the wisp of energy, fire then burst out from their bodies as they were trying to combine the energy. They were so devotedly receiving some inheritance. All of them felt grateful for the grant the deceased had bestowed upon them recently. After the god soul of an expert perished, his god domain turned into the intent domain field, which kept and preserved the willpower and the essence of the power he had cultivated. Warriors who did that when they died often wanted to grant the coming generations with knowledge and power they had accumulated for countless years. Warriors who were lucky enough to receive the last beam of their willpower would have a bigger chance to break through using that power. The warrior who left the inheritance would vanish completely, leaving nothing behind. This sort of person deserved respect from every warrior who had the same class of power. After the flaming skull had disappeared, Barrett and the others maintained their worshipping positions, closing their eyes to feel the power they had just received. The earth flame and the vermilion bird true flame returned to Yan's heaven flame tier of the soul altar. I broke one level. I can continue my breakthrough later. The earth flame cracked with joy. I also broke one level. The vermilion bird true flame was thrilled. He was a good guy. He left the thoughts and remnant of his energy for us to take and break through. How kind he was. The earth flame was now at level 5 and the vermilion bird true flame had reached level 6. They all bowed to thank the deceased warrior for his immense kindness. Chapter 861. Return to its rightful owner. Chapter 861. returned to its rightful owner, Undersir. A ghostly, lanky figure appeared in the sky of the land of God Punishment. While hovering in the vast sky, this figure stooped to observe the Heaven Punishment City. He released his soul consciousness, which surprisingly covered the entire land of God Punishment. He closed his eyes and sensed. His soul consciousness was like unceasing, silky threads lashing around the land of God Punishment. He was Fan He, president of the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce and headmaster of the Fan family. All warriors who had the God Soul and were staying in the Heaven Punishment City and the land of God Punishment felt a pair of eyes watching them as if someone was peeping on them all day long. Many of them looked at the sky, searching aimlessly. Now they knew that an unimaginable existence had arrived in the land of God Punishment. Fan, his soul consciousness, moved to and fro. At first, he searched the Heaven Punishment City. After his soul consciousness had scanned all the creatures in the Heaven Punishment City once, it entered the ground and moved to the deepest place underground of the land of God Punishment. It continued to search for something. After a long while, Fan he opened his eyes, frowning as he couldn't find anything. A sound stone flew out from his sleeve. He sent his thoughts into the stone to connect to Li Yufeng in the far forbidden land. After talking to him for a while, Fan he snorted. He didn't say anything. He just left the land of God Punishment, heading towards Li Yufeng's general direction. The feeling of someone peeping in their minds disappeared for all the warriors in the Heaven Punishment City. They knew that the expert, who had just come, left. They secretly felt lucky, gradually calming down. Somewhere in the Forbidden Lands, Ao, Guduo, and Karthu of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation, Li Yufeng and his men from the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce, by Tian, Tuahai, and Monica of the Underworld League were standing on a foggy mountain range. Around this brown-gray mountain range, there were energy fluctuations of barriers and restrictions. Not far from this group of warriors were around 10 cold corpses. They died because of the terrible backlash of the barriers when they had first landed here. The Forbidden Land was the pirates' hometown. To the hotshots of the 3 powerful forces, this place hid many dangers. There was the risk of accidentally triggering the energy of a restriction with one step. There was a warrior at the 3rd sky of King God realm in that group of dead warriors. When the barrier entangled him, he had no energy to wiggle out. He was killed shortly after. Since they didn't have any barrier master in their teams, the warriors became more cautious, seeing the 10 dead bodies. Feng Ku has gone deep into the Forbidden Land. What do you think is happening? Li Yufeng's team was standing on a sharp rock, their faces solemn. Li Yufeng frowned, turning to see the others. You let Feng Ku escape? With your power, you weren't able to stop him from running into the Forbidden Land? Ao Guduo's face darkened. It was not hard to deal with them before they got into the Forbidden Land. However, it will be very troublesome now. The pirates have been living in the Forbidden Land for many years. They are familiar with this place. We are just invaders. We don't know the situation or landscape here. Clearly, if we want to chase after them inside the Forbidden Land, it will be a dozen times harder. Yeah, I met Feng Ku. Anyway, I didn't want to risk my life by fighting him, Li Yufeng said in a low and cold tone. His eyes looked cold and harsh. Although they were at the same 2nd sky of Original God Realm and Feng Ku was a little weaker than him, Li Yufeng knew that fighting Feng Ku would result in severe wounds. And if he got wounded, he would hardly be able to touch the star map. Then his effort would only benefit Ao Guduo and Bai Tian. Why should he act stupidly like that? That was why he didn't try to stop Feng Ku. Li Yufeng decided to let him go. What should we do? Bai Tian looked casual, as if he wasn't afraid of jumping into the Forbidden Land. The star map is crucial. If the pirates could locate the mark on the star map, they will find it first. Once Feng Ku's team breaks through, The pirates' force will be sufficient to resist any of our parties. You know that the pirates hate us the most. We should eradicate them, nodded Aoguduo. As long as we join hands and get in there, I think it's possible to get through using our combined forces. Liu Feng also nodded. Since they had the same purpose, after just a short discussion, they had come to an agreement. Adjusting their conditions, after their energy had been restored, they started to move further into the Forbidden Land. The fire that covered the ground disappeared, and so did the magma. After the flaming skull released its energy, it vanished. The earth flame and the vermilion bird, True Flame, returned to their soul altar, notifying Shi Yan that they were about to break through. Shi Yan was now in a good mood. He thought that even though the road ahead was going to be rough, it was still going to be worth it. He was hopeful for some good encounters to improve his realm and powers before they could reach the place in the star map. Barrett and a dozen other warriors cultivating fire power rejuvenated after their harvest of Power Upanishad. All of them received lots of experience. The energy that Barrett consumed from battling Shi Yan was all restored. Flames moved in his eyes. It seemed like he was going to surpass the bottleneck point and reach the break through to the second sky of original God Realm at any given minute. It was unknown why he became silent and calm after comprehending his fire power. His hot-tempered bearings seemed to be comforted. He didn't want to shout and kill people anymore. He looked baffled, as if he wasn't fully awake yet. The other warriors who had also received some form of understanding of their realms were discussing happily with each other. They glowed healthily as if they had just cured themselves of a disease. Fengke waited until they calmed down to tell them the new decision. The warriors agreed with him without hesitation. The Forbidden Land was dangerous indeed. However, they had just received something good. It was possible that they would face death in the deeper place of the Forbidden Land. Still, there was always a chance to harvest something more. With that thought, they found it easy to accept the new plan. Those who hesitated suddenly hoped that they could be lucky enough to encounter the intent domain field of the same class, seeing the others get a bountiful harvest. All of a sudden, they thought that perhaps the Forbidden Land wasn't too dangerous after all and that it was worth the risks. Thus, they decided to move forward, entering the most hazardous places that even the 4 leaders like Feng had never been before. The floating mountains and lakes hid unknown dangers. They couldn't even see the energy curves with their naked eyes. Sometimes it was hard to sense with the soul consciousness. Sometimes they sensed no aura at all. It has been half a month since they had started moving deeper, and they hadn't encountered any danger since. The places they had passed by were already explored before. They knew how to dodge the traps. One day, Fengke suddenly stopped. His calm face was replaced by a more serious one. Russell, Jianong, and Barrett stopped quietly, musing on the thick green mist in front of them. They looked scared. The area ahead of us is the place I've never explored before. If there are barriers or restrictions, it will be hard to know beforehand. Fengke turned around, speaking in a low tone. From now on, we have to be careful with each step we take. Don't drag our people into danger because of your careless actions. Russell and Jia Nong nodded before turning to advise their subordinates and asking them to be cautious and to not wander. Old Brother Fengke, can't we just skip this place? Have you found the route from the star map yet? Asked a leader gingerly. Fengke's eyes were dark and gloomy. After pondering, Undying would emerge from his palm. Lightning sparkled in his eyes while he gazed at the Undying with star map. He seemed to be trying to carve the route in the star map into his brain. His soul rippled with magical energy waves. After a while, Fengke put the star map away. He contemplated for a while, then said, "The route isn't clear enough, but the mark on the map is in one area of the Forbidden Land. Once we get there, we will have the information for the next step. Thus, we have to go there first." After listening to him, no one inquired more, sighing begrudgingly. Senior, I think. I'm about to break through. Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tual lowered his voice, speaking excitedly to Shi Yen in the corner of this delegation. Shi Yen shivered, giving a low shout. Are you sure? Yes, pretty sure. Ka Tuan nodded heavily. I don't know why the further we go into the Forbidden Land, the greater the feeling that I have become stronger. It seems like I am at the threshold. How long does it take to break through the original God realm? Asked Shi Yen. It varies for all warriors. Some can condense the original soul and improve the realm in 1 or 2 days. But for others, it can take several months or even years. There's no standard. I can't give you a precise answer. Katua beamed a forced smile. You don't need to hold it. When you want to break through, we will find a quiet place for you. I'll protect you. Shi Yen pondered for a while. He took a deep breath. His soul altar suddenly trembled. A soul aura that people couldn't sense flew out from his soul altar, entering Ka Tuo's head through his eye sockets. Ka Tuo's brawny body shivered violently. Bloodlight shot out from his eyes. He looked at Shi Yen with fear. Ka Fu also felt something. He turned and looked at the other two. That flow of original soul belongs to you. When you were combining the inheritance, it flew out from your sea of consciousness to me. I want to tell you that I didn't mean any harm at that time. Since I was afraid that you would betray me, I applied some methods, explained Shi Yen seriously. Ka Tua frowned. Brother, you've done many great things for me. Your realm was lower than mine at that moment. It was okay for you to put up your guard like that. Anyway, why are you telling me now? If you never told me, I would never have known anything. You're about to have a breakthrough. I'm not sure if the missing beam of original soul can affect the process or not. Shi Yen smiled faintly. Also, I'm not worried about you anymore. I trust that you will not attack me. Ka Tua contemplated. After a long moment, he nodded and said, I understand. It's good then. Chapter 862, Promise. Chapter 862, Promise, Anusur. Several thousand pirates moved forward in the green fog. They were all silent, releasing their soul consciousness with tense nerves. No one knew what would jump in their way or what awaited them. From this point on, even the 4 big leaders had no idea what to expect, since it was also their first time exploring the area. They just knew that there were many hidden dangers. Feng Rao, come here with me, Shi Yen suddenly called while walking in the back of the formation with Ka Tua and Ka Fu. His face was serious. Walking in the dark green mist, Shi Yen felt very uneasy. He knew that this situation wasn't normal. He could feel even the veins in his body shivering slightly. Feng Rao was walking with her father and brother in the front of the formation. Hearing his call, she hesitated a little bit. She reported to her father and silently walked to Shi Yen. She smiled tenderly. What's up? Are you worried about something? We must be careful, nodded Shi Yen. You asked me to go with you, so you can protect me? Will you do a better job than my father? Feng Rao's red lips mouthed. She seemed to be in a good mood. Shi Yan's concern for her gave her a feeling of being protected carefully. She loves this feeling. Your father has many things in his mind. He has to take care of many people. He can't take care of you well. As for me, I'm feeling kind of relaxed here. I don't need to do anything in particular. We can just walk in the back and talk. It feels nice to do this. What do you want to talk to me about? Your affair with Zi Yao? Teased Feng Rao. Rubbing his nose, Shi Yen was embarrassed. She and I have nothing together. You shouldn't be jealous. In fact, she has so many obligations in her heart. She wants to climb to the peak of glory in the divine nation. She doesn't have free time to mind me. I think she is serious about you. You are a heartless man. She has expelled Ao Gera because of you. Feng Rao smiled at him, her beautiful eyes sparkling with affections. Yen arched his brows. She has expelled Aogera. Yeah. When we left the Heaven Punishment City, we received some news. Aogera doesn't belong to Zi Yao's entourage anymore. Because of you, they had a dispute. Aren't you proud of yourself now? Haha, I have never thought about this. Yen was a little perplexed. Although he acted like he didn't care, he was actually touched. He didn't know this. Zi Yao was a noble character. She was the bright pearl of the dark firmament divine nation. Also, she was the most beautiful lady in this star area, a lover in many men's dreams. Many small things arose in his head related to Zi Yao now. Yen sank into a short moment of silence. So, do you miss her? Feng Rao's smile narrowed as if she was actually jealous of her. She should be behind us. No doubt. If nothing unexpected happens, we will meet her soon. Yen, I'm asking you seriously. If we encounter them and Zi Yao and her men from the dark firmament divine nation intend to kill my father and me, whose side will you choose? Yen was surprised. He had never thought about this before. As long as Aogera and Zi Yao walked along the same road, he and Zi Yao were meant to stand on opposite sides. Aogera and Guduo had schemed many devious plans to kill him. Guduo and Leona held some grudge too. No matter what, Yen would never spare Aogera's life. He was the one who hindered the relationship between him and Zi Yao. However, because of him, Zi Yao had sent Aogera away. She had clearly detached herself from Aogera. She even became his enemy. Yen's discontented knot in his heart had been untied. However, he was now together with Feng Rao. Through communicating with Feng Ku, Yen thought that it was much easier to stay with the pirates. Feng Rao also treated him well, so he had nothing to complain. The pirates and the dark firmament divine nation were archenemies. Sooner or later, a war would break out between them. And when that happened, it was inevitable that they would engage in battle against each other in the Forbidden Land. When that battle came, he would have to choose between Zi Yao and Feng Rao. What should he do? Yen suddenly had a headache. If you have to choose between Zi Yao and me, who will you choose? Feng Rao's beautiful eyes were gloomy as she laughed to herself. I know that she's prettier than me, and her status is higher than mine. My father can't offer you what the dark firmament divine nation can. If I were a man, I would choose her. Considering all aspects, I am not her equal. I admit that. When I choose a woman, beauty isn't the only criterion. About power and status, I don't think I want to get them through a woman, said Yen seriously. Feng Rao's beautiful eyes brightened. She looked excited as if she had just been supplemented vigorous vitality. She jumped in joy. You mean, you would choose me? Are you sure? I will remember her favor, but I won't make a conflict with you guys because of Zi Yao. Since your father saved Bao Ao and the other two to seal the agreement with me, we've been walking along the same road. That will never change, nodded Yen. That's reassuring, Feng Rao smiled. Her charming face was so pretty. She pulled his arm and squeezed his hand. Zi Yao can't let go of her power. She can't leave everything behind to go with you. But I can. If you wanted me to, I would be willing to go with you back to your hometown. Even if we had to stay there forever, I would be willing to stay with you. Yen was touched. He looked at her with complicated eyes. In the beginning, he didn't treat Feng Rao honestly. The deeds he had done on her could be considered despicable and shameless. For the star map and to seek survival for his family and friends in the Grace Mainland, he had tricked Feng Rao. He wanted to win her heart to land on the land of God punishment without losing the star map. However, after he had arrived in the land of God punishment, Feng Rao had tried her best to protect him. Gradually, his mind was changed as Feng Rao had forgotten his contemptible deeds. He could feel Feng Rao's true feelings now. They were pure, without any bit of fabricated emotions, which was different from his. Feng Rao had been waiting for him with all her heart. She had even told him that she could leave everything behind just to go to the Grace mainland with him. She didn't need her father's power. This touched Shi Yan's heart. If the dark firmament divine nation wants to annihilate the pirates, I will do my best to stop it. Contemplating for a while, Shi Yan suddenly promised resolutely, "For you, I won't let bad things happen to your father, and I will protect the Heaven Punishment City later." Feng Rao grabbed his hand tighter, her beautiful eyes twinkling. She felt sweetness fill her heart. She would have given up anything to hear these words of his. Aha! A terrible scream resounded in the silent horde. A warrior under Feng Ke's command had his face twisted while green blood oozed out from 7 holes in his face. His life was being taken away fast. Watch out! Something unusual is here! Feng Ke cried in fear. Russell, Jianong, and Barrett pulled themselves together, calling for the warriors behind them to not act rashly. The dying warrior seemed to be poisoned. Shortly after, his god body turned into a dark green hue as if he was painted in green. His soul magnetic field weakened while his soul altar slowly stopped spinning. He was a scout sent by Feng Ke. We shouldn't go that way. Feng Ke reacted immediately. He yelled, asking people to stop moving forward. The pungent green smoke that permeated from that area rippled and rose like water. It expanded everywhere quickly. Many warriors in that area couldn't react timely. The pervasive smoke had shrouded them. Those warriors then held their heads, crying painfully. Their god body looked like they were dyed green. Their soul energy, fluctuation, ceased gradually. Everybody panicked. The rippling green mist expanded fast. Shortly, it had poisoned more than 10 warriors. Those who were shrouded by the miasma smoke had their breath faded away while their soul altar stopped spinning. Their god's soul eroded too. They died shortly after that. Although they didn't die instantly, their essence, chi, and soul had vanished really quickly into earth and heaven. Shi Yan gazed at the area, but his mysterious martial spirit didn't have any reaction. This was the first time it didn't proactively take in the essence, chi of the dead. It seemed that the essence chi of those deceased had dangerous poisons that couldn't be filtered. Perhaps they had vanished too quickly for Shi Yan's acupuncture points to react timely and take it in. After just 15 minutes, a dozen warriors died at the spots, and their soul altar didn't have the chance to escape. Many pirates retreated rapidly as they were afraid of that green smoke. They traced the previous route to return. Instantly, the scene became noisy and disorderly. People screamed, cried, and yelled in fright. The ordered pirate horde became chaotic. As people panicked, they couldn't think of how to solve this besides running away as far as possible. They were scared of the unknown danger, not knowing what it was or how to deal with it. Jianong, Barrett, and Russell had retreated quickly. Only Feng Ke was gathering the lightning power twirling around his body while he tried to seek the way out. "Father, you should stay away from the mist first." Feng Rao screamed, her face anxious. However, as soon as she had finished, the green mist had covered Feng Ke. He didn't have time to jump out. Feng Ke disappeared in the toxic smoke. They couldn't see him with their naked eyes, and their soul consciousness couldn't sense him. As the others were backing off, they didn't notice Feng Ke. They didn't want to storm over to check whether he was alive or not. They just wanted to protect themselves first. "Father!" Feng Xiao shouted wildly. He tried to jump over, but 2 muscular men had grabbed him and pulled him back. They retreated as quickly as a wind. "Don't go." Shi Yan grabbed Feng Rao's arm, stopping her from acting rashly. "You don't have the chance to save him. Calm down." "Shi Yan, I want to save him. I must save him." Feng Rao was terrified. She started to gather her energy in order to jump into the green mist. "You shouldn't go. I will go there." 10 starlight chains shot out from Shi Yan's hand, binding Feng Rao. He deliberately threw her to Jester. Please take care of her. No problem, Jester agreed curtly. Since he had the original God Realm cultivation base, it wasn't a big problem to control Feng Rao. Shi Yan, are you sure? If you aren't, don't rush in. I will give it a try. Chapter 863, Taking a Tonic. Chapter 863, Taking a Tonic _ Feng Rao could only stare with hurt feeling. She was tied by 10 starlight chains, and Jester had added his restraining power on her. Feng Rao couldn't even move. Feng Shao also wanted to save his father, but the 2 blue demons' pirates held firm grips on him. He couldn't escape their grips to look for his father. It will be all right. With your father's realm and power, he will be fine. Moreover, he has the star map. I don't think people will want him to face any bad situations, Shi Yan smiled, comforting Feng Rao while standing in front of the green mist. After Jianong, Russell, and Barrett heard this, their expressions changed slightly, reminded that Feng Ke still held onto the star map. They didn't care about Feng Ke's life itself, but they did care about the star map. Without the star map, they wouldn't be able to do anything, and this expedition would receive the gone home mark before the deadline. People cursed under their breath. They blamed Feng Ke for being impulsive. They thought that he shouldn't have taken risks like that. Even if he wanted to take risks, shouldn't he have given them the star map beforehand? He shouldn't have put people in a fix like this. Shi Yan, do you really want to get in there? Russell frowned. If you're going to be persistent, we won't object to that idea. However, remember to take the star map back with you. The blue demon pirates were enraged hearing him. They became dark, cold, and harsh. Russell calmly said to the other leaders, "We're here and risking our lives for the star map, right? Old Brother Feng Ke is taking us here to find a way out for our pirates. We shouldn't fail him. Even if he meets something unexpected, we must be persistent." Yes, it's true. I think old Brother Feng Ke wouldn't have blamed us. We must fulfill his wish. Many pirates expressed their opinions. They didn't actually care about Feng Ke's life, but they cared about the star map. Not all leaders of the pirates considered the whole picture, like Feng Ke. Most of them came here because of the star map, not thinking much. You fool! However, right at this moment, Barrett had contemplated for a long moment and shouted all of a sudden, "Without old Brother Feng Ke leading you, how would you even find the star map? The 3 powerful forces are after us. If we don't even have a second sky of original God Realm warrior, how do you plan to resist them? You narrow-minded idiots. Brother Feng Ke trusts you guys, but you can't even see the whole picture. You don't know what life is truly about." Barrett had silenced them all. Many people woke up to this realization. They were reminded that what they were facing more than just the dangers in the Forbidden Land. From some aspects, the hotshots of the 3 powerful forces were much more perilous than the dangers in the Forbidden Land. Without a strong leader, even if they had the star map, they wouldn't have gotten what they wanted. Barrett's words had awakened them. They now all wanted to save Feng Ke. However, none of them could come up with an effective countermeasure. All right, don't quarrel. I'm going there to check it out. Shi Yan snorted. At this moment, he suddenly felt that Barrett wasn't a bad guy. At the very least, he had a sharper vision than Russell and Jianong. Be careful, reminded Jester. Senior, act with caution. Catal also pitched his voice to remind him. Shi Yan nodded. After looking into Feng Rao's eyes, he took a deep breath before plunging into the area shrouded by thick green smoke. The green smoke had stopped expanding as if it was limited in its range. As soon as he went in the smoke, his face changed. Fine threads, smaller than needles, that naked eye couldn't see appeared in his sea of consciousness, sending out an aura that could numb and erode his sea of consciousness. It seemed like those threads wanted to destroy his soul altar. At the same time, toxic smoke seeped into his pores, wandering around his god body. It moved along his vessels, heading toward his internal organs. This is the corpse poison. The corpse vanishing flame suddenly talked to him from the soul altar. In the next moment, a magical but gloomy aura oozed out from his soul altar. Those silky green threads had wandered for a while in his sea of consciousness. In the next moment, they stormed into the heaven flame. A green flame covered them all. It was the corpse vanishing flame. The corpse vanishing flame also restrained the dark green poison which got into his body through his pores. It moved like a current, flooding his soul altar, where the corpse vanishing flame absorbed it all. Boom! Sure, Yan's god body shot out a green flame. At this moment, he was inflamed in green flames. The green flame had a magical attraction that gathered green smoke. A large amount of green smoke came from further away, disappearing into his god body. The corpse vanishing flame became excited. This corpse poison, it is a frightening one. I would guess that it came from a hazardous beast. Oh yeah, it's so good to me. It's awesome. The corpse vanishing flame was so thrilled. It continued releasing energy to gather more green smoke into Shur Yan's god body. The thick smoke seeped into Shur Yan's god body like steam. Gradually, the smoky area around him became a vacuum. The pirates standing outside couldn't see what was happening inside the green mist. They also saw that the thick green smoke diluted itself not long after Shur Yan had entered. A figure appeared in front of him. Shur Yan was struck seeing him. It was Feng Ku. Lightning sparkled all over Feng Ku's body. He was trying to resist the erosive corpse poison. At the second sky of original God Realm, Feng Ku couldn't be destroyed by the poison that easily. However, it had still made him struggle. Seeing Shur Yan, Feng Ku was struck, his face disbelieving. "Why are you here?" "I'm here to help you out." Shur Yan smiled, releasing the energy in his body. Dark green flames flew out from the corners of his eyes, entangling Feng Ku. Feng Ku's god body resumed its original color from the green, sticky substance. After 10 seconds, he was restored. He exhaled in relief. "You can cure the poison in this area." "Yeah, I have some methods." Shur Yan walked to him. He thought for a while, then left a beam of the corpse vanishing flame on Feng Ku's body to help him resist the corpse poison in this area. "Go. We should check this place out. Perhaps we will find something." Feng Ku now found no poison trying to enter his body after Shur Yan had helped him. He was shocked, replying, "Okay." The two of them then walked shoulder by shoulder. After 1 hour, they saw a green lake. A corpse of a several thousand-meter-long beast was floating in that lake. It was a 2-headed dragon, covered in a fine mane. The dark green mane sparkled with phosphorescence. The several thousand-meter-long occupied 1/10 of the lake. Smoke fumed from its green mane, releasing the poison, which fell into the lake and dyed the water green. The corpse poison was the green phosphorescence, and the steam evaporated from the lake. When they got to the lake, Feng Ku was shocked, his eyes sparkling brightly. Level 11 demonic beast. That one is almost equal in strength to an original God Realm warrior. Do you know what kind of beast is it? Shur Yan was also astounded. That mountain-like, several thousand-meter demonic dragon was decomposing. Phosphorescence that emitted from its massive body looked like the scattering fireflies. It also had an ancient aura, which was very terrifying. I don't know what kind of beast it is. Anyway, it should be a level 11 one, the same level as a third sky of King God Realm Warrior. Oh my, I could never imagine that the Forbidden Land has such a wonder like this one. Feng Ku sighed. It's so terrific, but we haven't reached the deepest place of the Forbidden Land yet, right? Shur Yan asked seriously. Arg, still far ahead. Feng Ku nodded, taking a deep breath. I'm lucky that you've come. Otherwise, it would have been really hard to wash the corpse poison on my body. That beast seems to cultivate poison, which slowly discharged into the environment after it died, turning into toxicity. It was too dangerous. Oh. It's not dangerous anymore, Shiryen smiled. He contacted the corpse vanishing flame. Hey, get out and take a tonic. A green flame flew out from his eyes. A clear life energy fluctuation was released. The corpse vanishing flame was so excited, storming towards the decayed body of the demonic dragon. It danced in between the green light of phosphorescence. The phosphorescence in front of them started to disappear bit by bit. The corpse vanishing flame had taken it all in. This strange life form was able to collect all kind of auras released by corpses. The corpse poison was its favorite food, the fountain of its advancement. Under the magical energy fluctuations of the corpse vanishing flame, the phosphorescence on the dragon's decomposed body soon disappeared. The flame didn't stop. It jumped into the green lake and continued to absorb the corpse poison. After 2 hours, the green steam and the green lake lost their green hue as the corpse vanishing flame had absorbed all the corpse poison in them. After the dragon corpse lost all of its poison, its decayed flesh was also gone. The sparkling giant white skeleton was exposed. People who were worried about them outside soon recognized the changes in the area. Until the green smoke diluted and vanished, Jester continued using the power he had to restrain Feng Rao. Feng Rao swayed away from the starlight chain. She was worried about both Shiryen and her father, trying to storm forward. 10 corpses were floating next to Feng Rao. She flashed, then disappeared. Her god body wasn't attacked, which meant that the poison was gone. The others were surprised. They exhaled in relief. Since there was no worry burden their minds, they followed her, walking forward. After 1 hour, the leaders of the pirates gathered with Shiryen and Feng Ku by the lake. They observed the giant skeleton in awe. There's something in the mouths of the dragon, Shiryen turned to Feng Ku. No matter what it is, it belongs to you. I won't ask for it. You deserve it, said Feng Ku. Shiryen nodded and smiled. He didn't talk more, flying toward the 2 skulls of the demonic dragon. The dragon was floating in the lake, but its heads were underwater. They could only see some strange light, but they couldn't define what it was. Jia Nong, Russell, Barrett, and the leaders of the pirates dashed forward as they heard Feng talking about something in the skulls of the dragon. They moved even faster than Shiryen toward the lake, their face longing. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.